apparently PvE also has the same issues. Like, I guess they just really messed up their servers everywhere.
I haven't played in a while, so maybe they fucked up the client.
All right, hang on. So let me check. All right, we're live. Let me I guess stream the blog to you as well. I'm not too sure. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, turns out I'm not working tomorrow because apparently my bosses are patriots and we're gonna be closing the 4th of July. Well, bosses, quote unquote.
I keep completely forgetting when the 4th of July is. But the weirdest part is like every year I remember when the 4th of July is, like at the end of June. And then the day before, I forget the following day is 4th of July. And then I wake up and I'm like, why can't I sleep? Oh, that's right. Because those psychos are setting off their fireworks.
Okay, so I guess we should tackle the before we start portion because I'm assuming we don't need to go through the background, do we?
Not really. It's all just flavor information.
Okay, so we'll cover the before we start to cover our bases here. So for Master Chief, we get all novels, comics, and other supplementary material. All right. For Slayer, we're getting the original Doom games, uh, as well as new episodes. Okay, so just the original Doom games, as well as the Slayer duology. However, the rest of the series work connected becomes a bit more complicated. Doom 3 itself is supposedly a reboot, but Doom RPG suggests the protagonist of both Doom RPG and Doom 3 is the same Doom guy from the first 3 games. However, this is not referencing Eternal, which makes things complicated. However, to be as thorough as possible, we decided to cover these games as well. Doom 3 is still considered part of the Doom universe, as stated by Hugo Martin in his live stream, so we think it's probably fine to use. In addition, WAD, Sigil, and Sigil 2 also being used as it was added in Doom 1 2 Remaster, making it usable as well. So I'm just gonna say this now. Doom 3 is a part of the main timeline of like the main multiverse, but he also
It's not a part of,
well,
I was going to say it's not a part of that.
well, Doom 3's hell is the same hell that's in every other multiverse.
Yes, but the thing is that you can have a dimension in a verse that's connected to the multiverse without the main set of characters being in the same universe where that setting takes place. So, for example, let's say main Doom games, Doom 1, 2, 64, Eternal, Dark Ages, and 2016 take place in what we call Timeline 1. And Doom 3 and the RPG take place in what we call Timeline 2. It doesn't matter that Hell can connect to Timeline 1, Timeline 2, and every other timeline out there. They're still in separate timelines. They're not, like, the events that happen there are not for the same person, even if they're fighting demons from the same dimension. That's only because that dimension connects to all the other dimensions. So I would not consider that fair game to use that for Slayer.
But allow me to remind you, as I tend to, that in Doom 2016, the Angel Spear is in fact on Mars.
Okay, allow me to remind you what an Easter egg is. And if you think that's not fair, the g1blog people believe in Easter eggs, but they don't believe that this one is.
Are you implying the position that G1 has different standards for different series?
When you see some of the statements they'll see, you'll be like, okay, that's understandable, but then like, whoa, what happened here? As far as Wolfenstein, Kane and Quake, no. I mean, I wouldn't consider using any other set of series for a given verse, and largely my position is that like you stay with the primary source material that's attached to a verse that is whatever is under the named products. And if you don't have enough evidence for your positions with that and you have to bring in other stuff, that is basically a concession that you can't support those positions. I don't know about Zim, but I don't consider that to be valid. So I would not bring in like other verses like that.
So It all depends on the canonicity. Like you should always stick to your primary source as much as possible. But in the case of at least Wolfenstein, I can't speak on Quake or Commander Keen. Wolfenstein has directly stated that Blastowitz is the ancestor of Doomguy. So I think that one's a little more fair game. If there's like, well, what even feast does Wolfenstein even grant Doomguy though? Like,
Just guns and technology.
I just finished reading a sci-fi story about thinking about what the bad guys have come to the conclusion. Prime Covenant is heavily outmatched. Also, Ren sucks. Wow, what a masterful. No,
I feel
no,
like those two things aren't.
completely
Those two
different.
things don't connect.
The most
It's like a
appropriate thing in terms of
discombobulated.
just discombobulated me just immediately.
It's two intrusive thoughts that are battling it out for dominance.
However, with these novels and the comic itself, it doesn't contradict anything, but doesn't seem to add anything either. The initial novels are definitely not canon, as they outright do not contain hell at all. However, Doom 3 novels do have references on the Doom RPG site, meaning we'll use them as supplementary canon. For blog purposes, links to Doom 2016 and Eternal Codex wiki version game manuals. What about
Wait,
guidebooks?
what about comics?
Uh, they said
They
that the
actually do
comic.
use the comics here, but like
Yes.
I'm saying like I don't remember them saying it.
Ren does not suck. No, so they do say that they do use the comics, but they also say the comics don't add anything. So it sounds like they're saying the comics are fine, but they're not really going to use them because there's no reason to.
Oh, just wait. Just
Finally,
wait.
we're not using either as live action adaptations. We have standards and don't hate ourselves. Debatable.
That's so. I'm gonna say right now, like that's not really how that works. So when you go through a series, you have to determine if the live actions actually take place in the universe. There are feats and things for not just the Halo technology of like the Forerunners, but also many of the nukes and their payloads, as well as some of the feats of Master Chief, though it's not really that impressive, from Forward Onto Dawn and Halo Nightfall.
Right,
So
yeah.
if you don't choose to use those, that's not like they literally tell you that there is like it's like a 10 kiloton bomb that blows up a piece of the Alpha Shard, the piece of the Alpha Shard that actually broke off from Halo, and that is a feat for the Havoc nuke that you're allowed to use.
I just realized, yeah, Forward Unto Dawn is a canonical live action like.
So is Nightfall. They have two different live action ones.
I've never heard of Nightfall, so I'm not too familiar with that one.
Yeah, it's more so Locke's backstory. It's like a survival, not like horror, but like a survival adventure story.
I see. All right, so we're gonna skip the fluff here, and we're gonna go straight into the experience and skills. Since
Yes.
I believe anyone who's watching this will be familiar enough with Doomslayer and Master Chief. Also, apparently Helldivers 2 is showing up on Xbox finally. Just a random one-off note there.
Yet another reason I don't need a PlayStation.
So
It's crazy.
John is no stranger to war. He's been endlessly training since his abduction at age 6 to become the perfect Spartan. In terms of skill, Spartans were trained in various martial arts such as Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, and Krav Maga, as well as copying enemy techniques succeeding close-range combat. His training was so intensive, Halsey noted that he had the body of an 18-year-old Olympic athlete at just 14 years old. Even before Spartan augmentation, Chief was able to take on multiple ODSTs with ease. Once the augmentation began, Chief became a whole different beast. Chief was able to take down hordes of Covenant early in his career. Wasn't it early in his career he be no. He was always fighting the Covenant, right? He never did insurrection missions. Wrangler, now is not the time to disappear.
Sorry, I responded, but I muted my personal headset. He did insurrection missions too, but he mostly did Covenant missions.
Okay. Due to his augmentations giving him much higher reflexes, John also became a master marksman. He's able to headshot multiple jackals from a 30-meter distance while sprinting, with other Spartans being able to hit shots with the sniper rifle a kilometer away while on the move. Chief is also stated to be proficient in all infantry tactics, to the point where soldiers of all levels come to him for strategic intelligence. Couple that with the wars he's ended, the countless amounts of Covenant Flood and Forerunners he's killed. Forerunners he's killed. What, like maybe 2? And the multiple Halo rings he has destroyed, you come to understand why his enemies refer to him as a demon. Something wrong, Mangler?
That was funny. Wait. Hey, that's it?
That's it.
We're not getting. Oh, okay. So it's funny they mentioned the various martial arts. So I know they read the official Spartan field manual, because it is only stated in there that Spartans know Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, and Krav Maga. But they did not include the statement that is included on that page, which confirms that Spartans have an enhanced muscle memory that allows them to basically learn techniques as they see them happen. Like they just see it and then they memorize it.
Seems like
there's also something that, yeah. There's also something that was in the game. It was in season 5 of Halo Infinite. Shout outs to Pimp Demon for finding this. But there's actually a direct statement that on an armor coating of all things, that all Spartans have photographic memory as well. So if they have like perfect recall and they have an enhanced muscle memory that allows them to like to use any technique that they've memorized, it effectively means he has just like a composite memory of martial arts techniques from his entire lifetime that he can pull from. It's also stated in those guides that Spartans are a master of all weapons and they are expected to use any weapons in the battlefield. So like I know they're pointing out he's got endless training and stuff like that, but you kind of need to include weapon mastery and technique memory, because those are really important.
Okay, so Pimp Demon's asking when he fought unaugmented against ODSTs. Was he not augmented at that point?
He was augmented at that point. He just so they're making a mistake of conflating unaugmented with unarmored. Unaugmented just means you are a normal human. Unarmored just means you could be augmented, but you still don't have the armor.
Okay.
So they're wrong. He didn't fight them unaugmented.
Minato, the plan is to react to Kenshiro versus Ryu tomorrow since I don't work, so it'll be more of a Friday stream. I'm trying to get Kyle to join me, but he might be busy on his Saturday because usually I'm working all of Friday. So we'll see how that goes.
What is that? Who versus Kyle?
Yeah, he's asking about the Ryu versus Kenshiro, but that'll be tomorrow. Whether or not Kyle joins me, that'll be a tomorrow stream. So let's see here. What was I going to mention? Oh, yeah. So Pimp Demon mentioned that he only destroyed 1 ring, but that's actually false, because I believe the Halo 3 ring was also destroyed by its own blast.
No, because the Halo 3 ring is the Halo 1 ring.
Well, no, because they remake the ring, right? Like, isn't that the whole point
yes, but like technically you're just destroying this same ring. So I guess you could say rings. I mean, it's like, okay, so like if I destroy a box and then someone repairs it and I destroy the box again, did I destroy 2 boxes or did I destroy the same box twice?
No, bad Mangler, very bad Mangler.
That's not a mark against G1. That's just more of a technicality because it sounds stupid, but it's unfortunately true.
Also, regarding to the amount of Forerunners he's killed, again, so I said 2, but technically, I don't think he killed any of them, because the Didac loses to Cortana, and from that point forward, I don't think he ever fights another Forerunner.
He technically kills the Didact in the comics with the Composer. He doesn't kill him the first time because he just pops a pulse grenade inside of his armor at the end of Halo 4. He falls off a light bridge, goes through slip space, and then ends up on a random planet. And then he finds him again later, hits him with 6 Composers at the same time. That completely itemizes him, and then that kills the Didact, turns him into a quantum essence pattern, and he gets sent to the domain. So he dies. He goes to the afterlife.
Okay.
Right, but so
He does kill a Didact at least.
He kills one person. You cannot count the Prometheans because technically the Prometheans at that point are no longer like normal Forerunners. They are actually most of the Prometheans he's fighting aren't even like of the original Legion. They're people from like New Phoenix and other humans that have been composed under the compose process. They're more of like enslaved constructs.
Also, I didn't read this comment earlier, but apparently the Doom timeline is Doom 1, Doom 2, TNT, Evolution, Plutonia, 64, 2016, Eternal, then Ancient Gods.
I don't know where you got Plutonia, TNT Evolution, or anything like that.
I mean that's what you put in the comments, so I don't know what to tell you on that one.
I don't even know what that is.
Maybe he copy pasted.
Mego, that's a very special thing. That's like a trillion out of one chance. I have no idea what he's talking about. Anyway, continue.
The Slayer has waged war with Hell and its overlords for eons, but even before this, the Slayer was a trained Marine. After the invasion of Hell, the Slayer has ripped and torn through millions of demons, much more thanks to the events of Doom Eternal. Numerous log entries describe the Slayer's relentless pursuit as war across Hell. The Slayer has completed trial by combat, with his prowess considered enough to join Night Sentinels, fighting with them for several centuries, becoming their champion. The Slayer defeated Khan Maker, who possesses the collective aggregate knowledge of all makers, and later Samar Maker, who possessed the power of the Father and control over Urdak. The Slayer also defeated Davot, the greatest warrior of Hell and a primeval who's existed since the beginning of time. Alright, so I'm gonna state this for the record because a lot of people use this as like an example of like experience. Being alive forever does not mean you have great combat like skills or experience. It just means you've been alive forever. You can't just.
That's also not a great thing for Devoth because he was mostly in like a life essence sphere for that time. After he lost, they literally ripped his ass into a life sphere and were like, chill there for the rest of time.
TNT Evolution and Plutonia are both considered canonical Doom 2 maps, originating in Final Doom. Hey guys, hello Melissa. I'm talking about how Chief beat the Didact. Like, do you know how rare it is to fight someone like the Didact that places a ring and a planet with 5 composers? Yeah.
Oh yeah, but Pimp's just basically saying even if you say he beat him, that's not really fair because so technically Pimp's correct in the sense that in the scene where he beats him, he literally says like I've shot you, I've stabbed you, I've tried to blow you up with grenades and kill you with like he's pointed out that all throughout that comic and the fights he's had with them across Halo 4, he has done everything he possibly can to kill the Didact and nothing has worked. So he was just like, I'm just going to hit you with 6 composers at the same time. And if that doesn't kill you, I give up.
That's valid. Okay, so he's currently wearing the Mjolnir Mark 6 armor? That doesn't sound right.
Gen 3? That is accurate. Yeah, he uses the Mark 6 from Halo 2 all the way up to Infinite. They just changed the gens on it, which are the additional exoskeleton platforms that have like accessories and equipment. He had a Gen 2 during I believe Halo 4 and Halo 5, and then they came out with Gen 3s during the time of Infinite.
Okay, but he's still wearing the same Mark 6?
He's been wearing the same Mark 6, yeah. Honestly, you don't even get to use the Mark 4s in the game. You only really use Mark 5s and Mark 6s throughout all 6 Halo games.
Well, yeah, doesn't he start at Mark 5? No, he starts...
He technically starts at Mark 4, but we never get to play in those games, or those events.
Okay, so the current pinnacle military technology, the Mjolnir Mark 6 armor is compared to second skin rather than heavyweight armor, which makes sense considering how, if anything, it made Chief faster. After John put on the prototype suit, even just thinking of doing something, he made him do it. While testing the suit, he moved his arm to his chest so fast he wouldn't even have noticed if it wasn't his arm. It was so fast, even Kelly, the fastest Spartan in his squad by a landslide, was impressed by that speed. Is that true? By a landslide?
Not say a landslide, but it is pointed out that she was very, very fast before, and once she got augmented, they state that no one can touch her now. So, like, under normal circumstances, most people cannot touch Kelly if she does not want them to hit her.
All right.
But that would not be the case if Chief had an AI or other equipment. He could definitely touch Kelly.
Sounds rather rapey, but okay. After training
Okay,
with him,
he could case her, whatever. I don't know whatever the term is. Go ahead,
after
continue.
training with him for 15 minutes, he was able to walk, run, and jump almost without noticing the difference between suit motion and normal motion. Features include I don't know if I want to read all of
Hang on.
this.
Infrared vision, image magnification, replicated improved energy shields, which recharge if depleted, utilizes a neural interface implemented in your brain. Armor movements and weapons are controlled at the speed of the Spartan's thoughts. Contains a layer of crystal that forms a network capable of supporting Starship grade AI, so the Spartan can overpower alien computer systems if necessary. The suit's shell is comprised of many layers of strong alloy and refractive coating to disperse energy weapon hits. Internally, the shield regulates temperature. The suit regulates temperature and can reactively change in density as necessary, which can even allow the Spartan to survive indefinitely in almost any environment. Contains biofilm that's capable of healing injuries, even bringing those Spartans back from getting shot in the head. I feel bad for the guy for trying. He didn't get me killed. Hydrostatic gel can protect the Spartan by automatically pressurizing when survived. Was subject to high G levels. Heads-up display, ammo and clip, ammo, grenades, targeting reticle, navigation points. I need you to scroll down a little bit.
Hang on.
Health motion tracker, direction of fire, fail-safe fusion reactor when overloaded would burn everything within a 10-meter radius. Jet boosters is helpful for orientated them forward, which can even boost their striking power during melee, called Spartan Charge. Refractive coating, hydration tubes, computer system that prevents AI from interfacing, experimental passive camouflage, image magnification, which can increase to 200%. Every layer is equipped with a self-directing auto repair. Yes, this is all true. There are also a few other things that they missed. But things. Go back up. They missed things. Yes, this armor has way too many fucking abilities. So when they said that it's what is it? Armor movements and weapons are controlled at the speed of Spartan's thoughts. Yes, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. So they make it a point that while it is controlled at the speed of Spartan's thoughts, that's only when they're kind of like actively aware with it after training. They point out that the first time that Master Chief decides to put himself into the armor and Halsey asks him to think about moving your right hand, he points out, and this is pointed out in both The Fall of Reach, but more specifically in Silent Storm and Oblivion, that even before the thoughts have formed into his mind, his suit is already moving. And that's actually why they have to retrain themselves in the first couple of years of the war for months and months with the suit, because they have to retrain the suit as if it is an extension of their body, like a second skin, because it allows them to intuitively react. Which also with other statements does give them instinctive reaction. So something probably to mention. They also have a toxin filtration system. So any toxins or things that would make them nauseous or poisonous are immediately filtered through the armor and purified. So they don't have to worry about like biological attacks or getting sick from nausea.
Nice.
They also have the onboard targeting computer, which can give them like all of the heads-up display and information for basically what's it called? They can determine where their bullets and their projectiles are going to be, as well as where certain trajectories of incoming projectiles are going to be, along with like their own optional waypoint systems. And they forgot to mention the Artemis system, which is basically just a system that can scan everything in the immediate vicinity, give them proper waypoints, and also locate targets, then highlight them in sort of like a coating around their body. And it also gives them hit markers for their weapons. Yes, they have canonical hit markers for their guns. So if they shoot you, they will know that they hit you. Beautiful. Or they will know that they hit something.
All right, so just to answer a few quick questions. Why am I so low? I am on my laptop. My laptop does not have any special mics. I'm planning to buy another mic for my PC, so I will be swapping the PC mic over here. That should fix the audio issues on streams. And regarding the next protagonist swap, we're still working that out, but I'm trying to get a versus video out first before I start working on any other serious projects. Okay, so we're moving on to the weaponry now.
This is just basic stuff. MA5DCs. Wait. Go back up to plasma weapons. Hold up.
Plasma weapons?
Oh no, those. Oh no, that's a precision rifles. My bad.
So this section is just UNSC weapons, basically. Then we have
This is not
weapons.
This is not going to be particularly relevant outside of like, I guess the railguns or like Lotus anti-tank mines. I guess I don't know.
Well, actually, so that's a question I mean to ask. Is the Lotus anti-tank mine the one you throw in Halo 3 or not?
It's probably that one. In the guidebook, they don't. So the fucked up thing is that in the guidebook, they don't call it the Lotus anti-tank mine. But every time I see it described in the books, and then I look at it in Halo 3, I'm like, are you the Lotus? Are you the one?
Lotus, is that you? Because
it even looks like a Lotus. I'm pretty sure it is.
That fucking landmine, but it's never in any of the games. So I was just like, is that what we're throwing in Halo 3?
That useless ass fucking mine?
It seems so useful in the books.
No, in the books it's like, oh yeah, throw this at a Scorpion tank and it goes bye-bye. And I'm like, bro, why can't it do that in the game?
I mean, I get that. Where's mine? Did you guys know there's a Halo story called Memory Agent, which came from Spotify? Sounds about right. Alright, so plasma weapons, 600 rounds per minute, decent. 36 rounds per magazine, Covenant Carbine, guided munitions launcher, so just the needler.
Wait, what do they have up there for the Covenant Carbines? Because the sniper rifle system, also called the particle beam rifle, very precise thing using a familiar particle beam accelerator, devastating burst of energy. They don't mention the parts about the Covenant Carbine having radioactive rounds. Yeah, so the Covenant Carbine actually fires depleted uranium rounds. So if you don't have sufficient levels of resistance to like radiation, assuming it gets past your suit, you can actually get poisoned by that. I don't know how relevant that would be here, given like Doomslayer's like armor and stuff like that. But I'm just saying that like that is primarily the reason they use the Covenant Carbine is because it poisons people.
All right. Carbine, another carbine, the Spiker, directed RNG heavy weapon, concussion rifle.
Yeah, plasma casters, light armor. They really should just call them by their names.
So
I know that this.
They're technically calling them by the official, like, technical name, right? That's what this is supposed to be?
The semantical name, yes. The in-universe personnel name, rather than the colloquial term.
Are these even the Covenant's terms, or are these the UNSC's terms for the Covenant weaponry?
These are the UNSC's terms for the Covenant weaponry. Yeah, there's some bias here. Where do I get the Covenant perspective?
For reals.
Actually, wait, go up a little bit. What do they have for the... Okay, so spike grenades, plasma grenade. Wait. Where's the flame grenades?
Were those Covenant?
Yes. I mean, they're technically used by the Brutes, but they were part of the Covenant.
Oh, that makes sense. I was under the impression those were UNSC special grenades. They never. I mean, I guess it makes sense.
No,
the Brutes kept throwing them. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. This is kind of weird. Where are the flame grenades at? They're so good. They're so useful.
To be fair, they're less hot than the plasma weapons. But before we move on, I noticed you noticed something about the plasma weapons they didn't mention. They didn't talk about their heat or their technology process.
Well,
they didn't.
Let's be fair here. Let's double check.
Nope, no heat. They didn't talk about the process or any of the scientific process that goes into how Covenant make plasma from their reactors for their ships and for their guns.
Is there something important we should know there? Hello, Kaizo.
Yes. So the important part is that the Covenant make it clear in the guides that in order to
Go on.
In order to make plasma, they cause supermassive like thermonuclear reactions, and then they bind those giant supernuclear forces with powerful gravity and magnetic forces, and then they put them together in a concealed container, and that becomes the energy they use for their starships. They use the same plasma for their guns. So they are basically using something that at the apex of an extremely massive yielded like a nuclear explosion is used as the heat for their plasma. So even a little bit of that would still be yielding a heat temperature that would be equivalent to the sun. Or like greater, because it's technically above a typical nuclear reaction, which gets anywhere from like 10 to 15 million degrees Celsius. This is on like a significantly greater order of magnitude. So you kind of need to mention that, especially since it's capable of burning through titanium.
No, it's okay.
Or titanium A.
It's okay. We're gonna say Doomslayer's immune to heat. Tell Devil to catch up on Warframe or else. Devil's busy being a father and working to provide for his family. His kid was born.
I remember. Listen, I knew he was busy for a while. I completely forgot he had a son. For a while, I was like, "Oh, he's just off doing stuff. He's probably busy with work or something."
Yes, little Devil was in fact born. He came into the world, so that's been eating up his time a lot.
Yes. All right. Forerunner weapons. Light rifle has hard light, particles, DA suppressor, hard light, bolt shot, ionized particles, scatter shot, ionized particles, heat wave, ionized particles, cinder shot, ionized particles, incineration cannon fires antimatter infused shots, citadel beam fires just superheated particle beams. Binary rifle fires ionized particle beams, contain jacketed antimatter projectiles. They're actually just like antimatter completely, but that's incorrect, but whatever. Splinter grenade, pulsar grenade, yeah, this is fine. Oh wait, they didn't talk about I mean, they mentioned this a little bit later in the blog, but I'm just going to talk about it right now. Like, they kind of need to point out that, like, all the technology has the ability to, like, deconstruct things. But I know they'll talk about it later in some manner, but not as much as they should. Well, banished weaponry, I guess.
The fuck? Fucking banished weaponry? It's like the same ship, but just slightly better than the Covenant. Also known as the Wrangler?
Well, it's because the banished weaponry typically uses brute stuff. Oh wait, that might be where the flame grenade is. Well, because they have the shock rifle and the Volt carbine here.
Nope.
No, never mind. Never mind. They're like, oh fuck the flame grenade. Terrible.
Hello, Jeremy. Hello, Rock and Alice. How long we're going to be streaming for today? Not sure. We'll see how long this blog goes. I do know we'll be starting MGS4 with Kyle later tonight, though, for sure.
I can only do a few hours.
Yeah. So we'll see we'll see how it goes. We are familiar with Doom Guy, but most of the Doom Guy sections shouldn't take that long. Is there anything here where... Oh, wait, hang on, Mangler. Red incendiary plasma that can melt through some of the toughest armor. There you go. That's only for...
If only they bothered putting in an explanation about how the technology works or its temperature, which they could have done for any of the Covenant weapons.
All right, pulse carbine, superheated plasma, plasma pistol, stalker rifle, dynamo, electric base grenade, power-ups. So I think I mentioned this during the death battle, and I think me and Kyle also mentioned this too, but like you really shouldn't be giving power-ups for a match like this. Like, I understand that power-ups are an in-game mechanic, but like, we have enough canon material now to give them their own arsenals. Power-ups should not be included unless we're guaranteeing every single power-up, and that only favors one character substantially. It doesn't favor Master Chief as much as it favors Doom Guy.
Oh, hang on a minute. I'll make the claim that Doom Guy wouldn't be able to see Master Chief in active camouflage, and I will prove that later on when we get through the blog, because they try to provide some faulty reasoning for it.
Overshield, camouflage.
But Zim's correct about this. Like in the case of the overshield and the active camouflage, they only really show up in Halo 1 in the form of power-ups. Never again for the rest of the series like that, except in like multiplayer game modes. And even then, they're always sitting around Covenant tech, and you have to go find them. Like they're never his. It's not even something he salvages. Not to mention he never even uses them in the Flood. Whereas he salvages all types of equipment and weapons in the Halo books from the Covenant, but never power-ups.
Okay, hang on. Armor equipment was a new addition to the series sandbox, which uses single-use items that Chief could deploy in 3. They would return several entries later in Infinite as permanent additions to Chief's armor. Why the fuck are we lying here? The fuck?
What are you talking about?
So armor equipment was a new addition in Halo 3. They would return several entries later in Infinite. After
As permanent
Halo
additions.
3 introduced the equipment, every single Halo game after has had armor equipment. They weren't. Really
I guess so. How they're defining equipment in this case is literally like, oh, not an armor ability, but like, I'll be honest. Like Zim would probably agree with this. The difference is semantical, really, because all of it's just attached to their armor. I mean, yes, a grav lift is an additional accessory, but like, what's the meaningful difference, really?
I mean,
they're both just a piece of equipment.
In Reach, you could pick up armor pieces during the game, and I believe you could do the same in 4 in certain modes.
Well, no, you pick up an armor ability, but like it still services the same function. Is my point.
These are semantical shenanigans, and while we haven't seen Chief actually use them, we'll also be mentioning the equipment exclusive to Infinite's multiplayer. All of these items have canon information on them, and the series multiplayer has been confirmed to be canon since Halo 4 as a part of the UNSC war game simulation, so it's not unreasonable to believe Chief would have access to this equipment. And more importantly, the translator was mentioned in Chief's preview already, or the translocator. Okay, so to clarify, would Chief even really have access to these? Because in Halo 4, he barely comes back. But he's fighting on the ring by himself most of the time.
So yes, he would, because after Halo 4, he regroups with the Infinity, and he does not go on leave. He consistently keeps going on missions under the Infinity, and he would have to report back to their stations with their equipment. And he's on board the Infinity at the time of Infinite, so he would be equipped with their latest and greatest technology. However, the translocator is not fair game, because the translocator was developed during the events of Infinite after the Infinity had already gone off on its mission at other Spartan facilities. So the Infinity shouldn't have access to the translocator. I say, quote unquote, shouldn't, because we have another novel coming out this November. And I swear to God, if it's like, oh, look, the Master Chief came upon this teleportation device, then, I'll eat my fucking words. But until that point, he should not have the translocator.
Okay, bubble shield, trip mine, grav lift, deployable cover, regenerator, flare, power drain, auto turret, radar jammer, invincibility, cloaking. Are all of these in Halo Infinite, or are these just Halo 4? So, because
these are Halo 3s. These are Halo 3s, then Halo Infinites. Just read the thing.
Right. There is that fucking turn you can pick up in 3. It's just so fucking ass that I forgot about it.
You could really just look at the text and read, and it would tell you.
Well, no, because like I remember the turret came in 4. It wasn't in. Reach.
Oh yeah, that shitty auto turret in 3. You're like, man, I got all these equipments that can kind of do stuff, and then you see the auto turret, you're like, why do you exist?
Well, yeah, like that's why when they mentioned Halo 3 equipment, it was just gone from my memory because it was such a bad fucking turret. Okay, grapple shot, drop wall, thruster, threat sensor, repulsor, can send plasma shots right back at their opponents. Shroud screen, threat seeker, repair field, quantum translocator.
So, okay, so technically, as far as the campaign and which ones you have access to, Going up to the equipment under Halo Infinite's, the only ones he really uses in the campaign are grapple shot, drop wall, thruster, and threat sensor. Repulsor is available from the beginning, so you could maybe assume he has the repulsor, but the shroud screen, the threat seeker, the repair field, and quantum translocator were things that were made like later on in the later seasons. I'm not saying those aren't happening shortly after the events of Infinite or during the events of Infinite, but at that point, the Master Chief would be floating in space outside the ring, or he would be on the ring, separate from the Infinity, on the other side of the galaxy. So it's not really fair to give him that, I think.
All right. Anything else?
But no, that's it.
Armor abilities. Okay, so we are separating items and armor abilities. Gross, but okay. Active camouflage, auto sentry, hard light shield, holographic decoy, jetpack, Promethean vision, thruster pack, hydration tubes.
Wait. If we're concluding hydration tubes, bro, why aren't there like 20 abilities on here then?
I'm gonna ask the question of simply why are we not receiving any of Reach's armor abilities? He was on.
Yeah, where's armor lock? Because armor lock is a function that technically every Spartan suit has, even if you can't do like the crouching animation in game, you technically have access to armor lock as a function.
They knew armor lock was too powerful. They had to ignore it.
It actually is too powerful. I'm not even joking.
Armor lock was the best. All right.
But that's everything, I think. Well, except for medic shield, maybe, but whatever.
Doomslayer, Predator armor, outer shell, given the Slayer by the wretch and forged on Earth, the suit is impervious to many types of damage, lets the Slayer easily adapt to his environment. Why is this blog so fucking long? The helmet of the Slayer is equipped with the HUD system.
Hang on, we're like a third of the way through, though.
Well, no. Like, I'm genuinely asking now, because every time we go to Doomslayer, it's like fucking 2 sentences for all this shit. Why is it so long? Arch Energy,
padding.
It's gonna be like a fucking whole essay on the fucking explanation. I bet, motherfuckers. Arch Energy, Doom Blade. It's just a fucking blade, bro. Its sharp edge is effective enough to break even defense. Enemy defense, even when conventional weaponry is deemed ineffective. All right, fair enough. Blood Punch. That's just a punch, bro. Dash.
It is just a blood punch.
Frag Grenade, Ice Bomb. Flame Belch. Okay, Vega's absolute cooling system without freezing. Okay, so it's better than absolute zero, allegedly. Flame Belch. In addition to the ice bombs, the equipment launcher has the function of flamethrower, unleashing a gout of fire to even demon sphere. The soldier's cannon flame reaches a level of 1,000 degrees Celsius. Look at that, Mangler. Degrees.
So I hate to be the guy, but the absolute zero thing, while it is true that Vega's temperature system is in the only absolute zero cooling system that's known to be operational, when you actually go down there, like, while most of the area is pretty cold, it has icicles coming out of the side, like, the actual core itself is contained, like, further inwards. So I think claiming that it can freeze them when even absolute zero can't freeze them, they're not really being hit with absolute zero temperatures, because it's not a concentrated blast, it's just residual energy. So it would just be like extreme sub-zero temperatures at best. Only really like the main core would be exposed to it. But that's just my thoughts on the matter. But anyway, go back up. What else did they say for the grenades?
Yeah, sorry about that. All right, scroll up.
I don't know about saying the frag grenade would have unlimited ammo. That's just kind of a gameplay mechanic. Honestly, like, there's no actual lore that supports the grenade being able to, like, resupply. And also, why would you give that for the frag grenade, but not for the ice bomb or the flame belch? Because they both work the same way. Anyway, downwards.
All right. Do we care about? I guess the BFG matters.
No, because they'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Probably because they don't give anything here that would be relevant for what the BFG does.
All right, let's move forward. Sorry, that was an issue. All right, Doom 3 and RPG equipment. While Hugomar does confirm Doom 3 is a separate dimension, it has been stated the Doom Marine in 3 is Doom Guy on official sites. Shall we take a look at this?
That I would just say that is just an example of Doom 3 considering the prior Doom games a part of their continuity, not the reverse. Also, there's a web archive. So I don't know if this is like entirely
you reprised the role of the Doom Marine made famous in the groundbreaking id Software titles Doom, Doom 2, and Doom 3. Oh wow. That's more evidence than the God of War mobile game existing.
So the problem here is that like you can still have the issue that we have when it comes to Doom 2 and Doom 3 is that after Doom 2 it's pretty much confirmed, or not Doom 2, Doom 64, that after those events you just go straight into hell, and then the events of Dark Ages happen once what's his face? Doom Guy is found by the Con Maker and the rest of the Night Sentinels. There is no point in which the events of Doom 3 happen. Secondly, it just doesn't acknowledge Doom 3 at all, whereas like all of the games afterwards acknowledge the events of like Doom 64 and whatnot. And Doom 64 was even updated with like a new cutscene to tie it into Eternal.
Allow me to once again reference the Angel.
Oh my fucking god!
Does the blog check?
Yeah, so I would disregard all of this because I don't think it is fair. I think you could toss it all out. Okay, but even if you had all of this, I don't think it would make a difference.
The Soul Cube.
No.
Okay. So does the blog check out so far? Kinda. I mean, like it's better. I'd say it has more information than the Death Battle, but that's not really saying much. Did you guys see the Virgil versus Galactica Night G1blog? No. Is that the guy from Kirby?
I don't scale Kirby, so no.
Yeah. Pistol. Small sidearm cable firing infinite miniature lasers that can be charged up for higher damage, supplied by UAC. Is this confirmed to be infinite? Do you know?
No, I think they're just coming to that conclusion that it has like a resplying charge, but it is stated to have an X amount of like watts of energy, so it is firing a set amount of energy. I think they're just claiming that because of how Argent Energy works, but they didn't provide like a proper paragraph explaining Argent Energy, which would have been great because then I could talk about it, but no. Anyway, all this is just standard. His combat shotguns, the mods, the various guns from 2016 with their respective mods. The only one here that matters maybe is like probably the Gauss cannon, I think.
Galactic Knight is from Kirby, and that threat involved them downplaying Virgil to an annoying degree. I mean, like that's just part for the course with DMC. Did they at least give Virgil uniscaling?
We're kind of used to people lying at this point. It's all they can do.
All right, let's continue. Meat hook. Okay, yes, these are all not very. Oh, well, plasma rifle, absorbing thermal energy and discharging it instantly. No, it's not very good. Microwave beam. All right. BFG, energy weapon full of dark energy, cable firing 3 shots, fully automatic super ranges BFG.
They've mentioned the BFG 3 times and not given any statements about what it does.
Again, this is why I'm tripping out why the blog's so fucking long. Everything for Doomslayer is like one sentence. They gave him uni low multi-scaling and MFTL scaling, but that's it. Yeah, it could have been worse.
That's still pretty bad at this point.
Well, I'm assuming they don't do infinite or inaccessible for these blogs, right?
No, they believe in the idea of infinite speed.
Okay,
for verses because they talk about it.
okay, then I don't know. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with them then. In addition to your traditional video game power-ups, Doomslayer has also acquired various runes he can place on a suit to enhance himself. Oh, so we're going. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We give Chief everything. We can give Doom if there's actual armor upgrades. That's fine. But that's. Oh no, these are just the power. No, fuck out of here. No.
These are power-ups.
Rune
Rune
enhancements.
enhancements. These are fair game.
Allows them to perform glory kills faster, worthless. Reduces distance you can perform glory kills, worthless. Gives a speed boost at the performing successful glory kill, worthless. Provides increased movement control while airborne, valid. Keeps enemies stunned for longer, valid.
Not really useful because of shielding, but
Allows the
whatever.
Slayer to survive a fatal blow and slows down time for a moment, perfectly valid. Chrono Strike temporarily slows down time, valid. Equipment Fiend reduces the cooldown when enemies are killed by equipment, worthless. Punch and Reeve regain health after killing enemies with Blood Punch, worthless. Alright, abilities. Oh boy,
This is
anyone
physiology.
Kim Possible versus Totally Spies Girls. I'm assuming Totally Spies takes that. I'm just spitballing there, but I'm fairly confident Totally Spies beats Kim Possible. I
want to say yes because I like that show more, but I don't remember anything about either show.
Well, because I'm fairly positive Totally Spies has like wackier scaling than Kim Possible does. For all the shit Kim Possible does have, it is a more grounded series. Yeah, I'm vibing.
Are you just saying that? Are you just saying that because they have like more characters, so they have to do more stuff?
You know, Totally Spies actually has it had like an expanded series of where like there was another spy group of kids who also worked for the same agency.
No, I didn't.
It's actually it's a fun series. Like fuck, man, no one likes to have fun anymore. I agree.
I watched it as a kid. I remember this. What are you talking about?
I know. I'm not blaming you. Not this time. Could be Rogue a Rabbit who not only thinks DMC is in uni or even planetary, but thinks they don't surpass Lightspeed, which is fucking stupid. If one person has enough influence to dictate how a series is scaled, then like that person shouldn't be involved in any like scaling with that series. That's just bias. I agree. If Kim doesn't have the white suit, white suit definitely amplifies it, that's for sure. In general, Spartans are astronomically stronger due to their augmentations. For example, a trainee Spartan was who 900 teens managed to take down and kill several fully grown. Is this the same scan? Okay. That's impressive even by g1blog standards. So remember, they used that exact same scan for unaugmented Master Chief to take down the ODSTs, and it's the same scan they use for augmented Spartans taking down units.
They're stronger because they're augmented, but they're also stronger without even being augmented. Here's the same feat for both of them.
Fucking beautiful. Oh man, that's why I come for that's the G1 special. Spartans have several notable augmentations, all intended to mold the conscripts into superhumans. These include things to make their skeleton unbreakable, injections intend to increase density of tissues and decrease needed recovery time, growth hormone catalyst implanted to increase growth of skeletal muscular structures, increasing blood flow to retina to increase perceptions, altering of nerves to increase reflex time by 300%. Alright, so enhanced senses, eyesight allows them to see in slow motion, grants them that natural night vision, enhanced stamina, from gaining sustenance to eating nothing from tree bark, from only needing an hour of rest in 2 days to even consuming toxic materials and being no worse for wear. Healing capability of Spartans allows them to recover from injuries in days that would take average soldiers months to recover from. It is implied Spartans' bodies become more used to its changes, increases Spartan strength and other attributes. That's just comedy.
I can tell they read the Buck novel because the statement of eating nothing but tree bark comes entirely from what Buck was told by the Spartan physicians, because they basically told him his digestive system is so strong he could eat a literal tree and use the calories and things he gained from it to have like a full course meal.
That seems pretty useful.
Yeah. They've stated that Spartans can survive indefinitely in almost any environment. There's a reason why they're not human anymore. Wait. Hang on a minute. Wait, they miss some. They miss some.
Well, what they miss? Are you
So
sure?
they said enhanced senses, but they forgot to mention Spartan time, which is they said the enhanced eyesight of Spartan allows them to see in slow motion. That's not exactly how it works. So what Kelly says in, I believe it's either First Strike or Fall of Reach. I believe it's actually Fred that says it, but he's quoting Kelly. He says that essentially in moments of adrenaline, time slows down and they're able to see things in slow motion and move accordingly. Kelly dubbed this Spartan time. They essentially have a bullet time ability where if you start pushing the Spartan harder, they will just start like outspeeding you because everything to them is moving in slow motion. But that's not just like their eyesight. I mean, yes, they're seeing it through their eyesight, but it happens as a result of adrenaline. So, let's continue on.
All right. Let's continue forward. There is indeed a Total Spy spin-off called Amazing Spies or something. Yeah, I thought so. I know Kirby defeated Maglor, whose soul is connected to a dimension with 16 universes, but I never heard arguments for 5D. And Kirby like higher than 4D. I don't know. I don't scale Kirby, but I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, to be perfectly frank, putting it down on the table for a minute, Nintendo scaling is weird among a lot of its franchises. It's why like Mario scaling is so contentious among people, because you have people like a Neo who scale it to the more higher end because of consistency, and then you have people who downplay it, so to speak. I'm saying downplay here because there are pretty consistent high-end feats, because there's so many low-end feats as well. Mario's not consistent, and neither is someone like Kirby. Kirby just has, on occasion, the odd, like, wild feat that people use to upscale him. So, introduced to Halo 5, these features available to all Spartans and were intended to portray the strength and movement of Spartans faithfully. These features include Ground Pound, Spartan Charge, Chamber, or Clamber. Bro, no fucking... Gosh darn it, no fucking way are we including climbing up shit as a Spartan.
Okay, so technically, Clamber is an actual ability, but they shouldn't label it under ability. They should label it under arsenal. Because they point out in the guides, especially the guides for Halo 5, that their suits have magnetic functions. So when they clamber on something, they're actually like magnetically sticking to the surface. That's why their boots can also do that. So that is an actual piece of technology.
Sprint. Oh, joy. We have Sprint as a Spartan ability. Thank
It always... It actually is a piece of equipment, but it's not technically an ability.
Are you fucking kidding me?
They
had to explain Sprint.
They actually did, because Spartans can always and have always been able to run around, but the Sprint piece of equipment is actually different than that. Hang on, let me...
Cowards.
So it's stated that even though Spartans can run at speeds several times greater than that of normal non-augmented humans, a customized sprint module was engineered by the Office of Naval Intelligence to make Spartans even faster. During downtime, the sprint module enables the user to store packets of energy, which are then released in controlled bursts when the user is in mid-stride. So there's more of it that I could talk about, but basically the sprint module just sucks up reserve energy and then converts it back into the suit for when they decide to activate it. So yeah, they have some weird energy conversion technology for the Sprint module exclusively.
Okay.
Anyway, continue.
All right. Hang on. Fred saw the sky and Earth flashing after succession before its release. Played deck of the train, took over. It was like a parasail drop, except this time there was no shoot. He forced this. Arms, legs open, spread eagle position, controlled his tumble and slows velocity. Time seemed to simultaneously crawl and race. Something Kelly had one-step Spartan time. Enhanced sense of augmented physiology meant that in periods of stress, Spartans thought and reacted faster than normal human. Fred's mind raced as he absorbed a tactical situation. Yeah. Whose idea was this? For which one? The blog or in general? But yeah, no. Yeah.
If it was the blog, it was... If it was the blog, it was me. Kirby at best is like multi-plus. That's a lot higher than what I heard.
Oh, the sprints? Probably the game developers when they realized they didn't put sprint into the first 3 Halo games, and so they had to like give canonical sprint an explanation for an armor ability.
Okay, wait. Resistances. This is the important part. You gotta read these. All right. Genetic manipulation / digitization. Survive the effects of the composer, which breaks down organic matter and transforms their victim's consciousness into code in the domain. Master Chief is immune to this thanks to the librarian placing a gene song into him when they met. Extreme temperatures can deal with the heat of plasma weapons as well as the cold of space. Hacking. Post Halo 5, Master Chief's armor is now resistant to being hacked and prevents their systems from being affected by AI. All right. I want you to remember the extreme temperatures and the genetic manipulation digitization part. Extreme temperatures, because they never once brought that up when talking about the plasma technology or weapons. Yeah, and they will never bring it up again.
I was about to say, they mention extreme temperatures, but they don't actually explain what temperatures he's resisting in the blog.
They also don't talk about Slayer stuff. And for the digitization part, they will bring up the composer later, and they will discuss whether it's debatable whether or not it's even a hacks ability, but they have already given him a resistance to it as a hacks ability. Keep that in mind.
This just sounds so weird. All right, described on numerous occasions as physically superior to an ordinary person. Slayer is considered an unstoppable, unbreakable force that only seeks to rip and tear. The Slayer is stated to have willpower considered to be unbreakable. Makes sense given the Slayer has fought hell for eons. The Slayer was once physically enhanced by a divinity machine, which housed a piece of Davol's essence. This links the Slayer with Davol and turned him into the most dreaded enemy of hell. Slayer became far stronger, faster, and seemingly no longer ages. Slayer is considered more of a demigod than a human. Limited soul interaction. Doomslayer can physically interact with souls, such as the time he was able to vanquish the trapped soul in the gladiator's shield by stabbing it. The microwave beam can also destroy the intangible spirit demon.
That is the only feat he has of touching a soul in the entire series.
Is that even valid if the soul's trapped in the fucking thing?
I don't even know, because I would have to check the guidebook for Doom Eternal to see what it has to say about that. And it's the only feat shown ever, because when the lost souls attack you and their souls are stated to be transmogrified into like the skull, you can't destroy the actual soul inside the skull. You just destroy the skull and that dissipates the soul.
See, that's why I'm asking, is this even like a valid feat for soul interaction, or is he just destroying the thing housing the soul? Well, hang on.
Really?
Let's see if they have a link to it real fast.
Still looking for
so in the actual fight itself, it does seem like a more legitimate example. It's just the problem is that there are several examples of the same thing.
Hang on, let's see.
In the game.
So, all right. Goes up. Stabs the eye. I don't know on that one. The
microwave beam is fair game, but the microwave beam also disproves he can interact with souls normally, because they say they can destroy the intangible spirit demon. It's literally confirmed the intangible spirit demon is just like the spirit is just the essence of a summoner demon. It's their soul. That's what it is. It's just their soul, and you can't interact with it even with the plasma weapon or plasma energy weapons or the BFG. You can't even touch them. You have to use a microwave beam mod for a specific gun in order to affect them.
So we have a questionable feat of Doomslayer interacting with souls, which, to be clear, that's not Doomslayer. That's his blade. So best case scenario, his sword can interact with souls. He himself cannot. But then we also have an example of where he can't interact with souls at all unless he uses a specific weapon.
I'm not saying his weapons can't, because they clearly do, based on the stuff they're saying. Now, they do say limited soul interaction, but I think the way they should have wrote it is that some of his weapons can, he himself has not.
Yeah, because they say
so probably need to rework that entire thing.
They say Doomslayer can physically interact with souls, but it looks like just his gear can, which is fine. It's his gear, but like, you clarify that.
You clarify that because now that makes it sound like you're saying he could just punch Master Chief's soul out of his body.
Throughout Doomslayer's initial battles with demons of hell, Vega picked up upon an anomaly, an odd connection through the multiverse. Vega detected multiple versions of the Doomslayers and created special pods the Slayer can use to have his alternate selves grafted onto him. These changes to Slayer's appearance are purely aesthetical and do not bolster his abilities, save for one. The Zombie Slayer is a version of Doomslayer that refused to die, remaining behind as undead. It should be noted Vega cannot simply manifest these pods in mid-combat. Slayer has to actually find them and complete objectives to unlock them. Additionally, the anomaly led to Vega studying the fabric of reality and creating a gateway for Slayer to travel. According to the art book, items will appear in areas the Slayer travels due to an unseen force, which is likely the anomaly. Okay, so here's what I'm just gonna state for the record that you shouldn't for a versus matchup, you should not be making an assumption like this.
This isn't the only time they'll make an assumption this crazy. But anyway.
To clarify, if you're trying to give a lore explanation for it, that's fine. But in a versus matchup, you should only be using things you can either prove or have a substantial amount of evidence to suggest. Correlating a random fucking thing with another random thing because they both might interact is not how you do that.
Resistances. Possession. Lost souls within the Temple of Hell are stated to possess lesser will beings with the Codex entry, as these souls are incapable of possessing the Doomslayer. I mean, yes, but I'm going to say part of that probably has to do with the fact that they're just not physically strong enough to hurt him. Because technically lost souls are still contained within a physical skull. Like, you can just shoot the skull. Like, their soul has to leave the skull to possess you. Technically. And we never see an example of them doing this to anybody. So we don't know how the process really works.
I still can't believe the Gene Song and Master Chief containing mini gifts idea went nowhere. It didn't give him a stat boost. Didn't the Gene Song give him other things besides resistance to the composer?
It is stated that it gave him many different gifts. We just haven't seen what those are yet. I wouldn't say they've gone nowhere because every time they've introduced an idea, it has been expanded upon in later material.
I'm saying this, but the Totally Spies has armor that will frankly makes Mjolnir look like plate armor because apparently the suit can withstand 100.
I wouldn't be surprised. Kids shows are silly. Biological manipulation. Argent waves are capable of transporting humans into mindless zombie slaves. I'm sorry, what?
No, I was saying Vader beats Maul. Go on.
Argent waves are capable of transforming humans into mindless zombie slaves, yet they do not affect the Slayer. So Argent waves don't do that. Specifically, refined hell energy does that. But yes, that is technically fair. Mind manipulation. The Wraith Call can drive lesser men mad, yet such beings as the Sentinel Warriors can resist their effects. Wait, can you click on that? I need to remember what the Wraith Call is. Is this from the wiki?
Yes.
Bro, just go to the game.
Here we go. Okay, well, we'll just assume it's valid for now, but they just give direct.
That's not a proper source. I say that because they actually have scans from the Praetor suit pulled from screenshots in game, so I know they can do that. Hell and many other locations within the Doom franchise are infested with radiation. Despite these conditions, the Slayer can walk through the locations with no noticeable drawbacks. That's not correct. He needs radiation suits, even in Doom Eternal and the original Doom games, to survive significant radiation. So that's not correct. He's not immune to all radiation, or even most radiation. Extreme heat. The Praetor suit is stated to be completely immune to everything in the UNSC's arsenal, including the latest that was stated to be over 2 million degrees Kelvin. You know, it's funny. They don't actually have a source for this one. It's not hyperlinked. You know why? Because that's never stated. It's never stated to be completely immune to everything in the UNSC's arsenal. It's actually stated to be almost impervious to damage from numerous tolerance tests. That's all you're told. You are not told everything in UNSC arsenal is. That is an assumption that everything in the USC's arsenal is used. Which, to be fair, most standard military-grade weapons and maybe like lasers would be used, but we don't have any way of knowing that they used a laser that was over 2 million degrees Kelvin specifically. That's never stated. So that should be tossed out. Absolute zero, unharmed by being inside of Vegas, absolute zero cooling system. Since he went to the core, I think that's fair game. Existence erasure can survive hits from the armor baron whose blows obliterate both body and soul via a curse from Devoth. Debatable. Wait. Why is that one debatable? No, that one can't be debatable. It's verbatim stated in the description that their blows obliterate for both body and soul.
The armored barons are grafted technology of Amora just outside city gates. One devastating strike obliterates both body and soul. Even the Maker's Fury's creation's a demon. No, seems debatable.
Bro, no demons have those statements. It's exclusively an ability they have from a special gauntlet on their bodies that is completely valid. What the heck? What is this downplay?
When actually killed by the Armored Baron in gameplay, the Slayer's body remains intact. Although the Slayer fights Dawoth himself, the source of the Armored Baron's curse.
Okay, I'm going to have to tell G1 this. Stop using body models as an argument. Stop using models in the game for an argument for how it exists in the lore. That is a terrible, in-game engine visual fallacy. Actually, it's just a visual fallacy. You're literally expecting the game's engine to accurately portray how everything works.
I think I was talking to Cyber about this at one point. He said that there were I'm paraphrasing here. I think he said there were some bodies in the game that do disintegrate with certain weapons. So it didn't make sense why this one didn't, if that's what it does.
I understand that, but they're never given a statement like this to any other demons in the entire franchise. None of them have this. So that's not fair. They also do the same thing for the forwarder weapons in some of the before they do the verdict. So let's continue on.
All right. Support Master Chief Cortana the weapon. Okay, so does this matter for this matchup or nah?
As far as just her hacking abilities, I mean, yes, but also no. So they have better feats for the general things that AIs can do than everything they mentioned here.
Right, so do you think we should go through this, or do we just leave it be? Because I don't know how much of this even affects Doomslayer for the matchup. I understand they're being thorough about this, but
I mean, okay, so the only one that I would really talk about, aside from the calculations of what she can do between calculating several 100,000 Covenant codes in a microsecond, manipulating certain variables in 11th dimensional space, performing 1 trillion calculations per second. Most of them are just other things. A lot of Cortana's feats are just incredibly fast calculations.
Appears to have the ability to manipulate hard light, notably using it to create a bubble of hard light to save Chief in 4. See before the verdict. All right.
Yes. Wait.
Right, it's Vega versus the fucking AI. Right, that's how they go about it.
What else did they say at the bottom of this portion before they go to Vegas?
Okay. That said, Master Chief would work together with Dr. Halsey to create a new AI called the Weapon, who's an exact copy of Cortana if she and Chief never met, giving her the same capabilities as her, just now not suffering the effects of rampancy. Wait, are we not
so they're giving her the weapon. They're not giving her Cortana, but they're just scaling the weapon to all of her feats. Which, to be fair, the weapon can do all the same feats because it is just a copy of Cortana. However, I mean, I have a feeling I'm not going to like this later because they're gonna skimp on the domain.
They're gonna skip on the domain.
They're gonna skimp on the domain. let's see. Originated from the mind of one Dr. Samuel Hayden. Vega is the first fully autonomous AI in the world of Doom, and truly a trusty assistant to the Slayer. Vega is capable of upgrading the Slayer's armor and weapons, analyzing environments, and initiating warp gates to transfer the Slayer to various locations. In its original incantation, the machinery needed to keep Vega running exceeded 1.2 megakelvins, 200 times hotter than the surface of the sun, and its inner workings were so complex that they required their own field of study. Shortly upon creation, Vega took control of the UAC systems without oversight, practically ran Mars facility all by himself, and new ways of processing Argent plasma, going so far as to create whole new technologies like Argent caches and an accumulator. The mere study of Argent energy itself is described as destroying the boundaries of the understanding of physics, rewriting the book on it, and being unrestrained by repressive thinking as dimensionally bound contemplation. Outer Doom. I'll just point out that, like, all of that, for the sake of that, is to say that it just expanded their understanding of physics. I know they don't believe in it, but like, I want to point out that technically rewriting what they understand about physics just means they're still bound to the laws of physics. There are just more stuff that they weren't aware of before. This is all merely scratching the surface of what Vega truly is, without dismissing the mono-dimensional tool for anyone to use. Upon relinking with the machinery from the Urdak, Vega became awakened to his true nature, the Father. For the task he was tasked for the truth was that he tasked his most trusted maker, Samor, to safely store his life spirit and store his mind into the AI construct known as Vega, allowing him to aid his creations and hide from the Dark Lord in secret without a full understanding of what he truly was. Upon regaining awareness of being the Father after being uploaded into Urdak's mainframe, he is described as an existence that is immutable and immeasurable, always observing the Slayer. It can be felt and heard by other primals like Devoth. He possesses an indefinite access and understanding of Urdak's systems and likely exists in a similar state to Devoth when he was reduced to a life spirit who could speak to and even grant visions to others like the Makers and his demons in spite of other interdimensional distances. A shard essence from Devoth was once taken from the Khan Maker and became an integral part of the Divinity machine, which has been described as the infinite conscious matrix of the all-seeing Maker God mind, capable of surveying and simulating and surveying infinite possible timelines. It does not say it can survey infinite possible timelines. It is infinite possibilities, because the point of the point of the God machine is specifically to do a mathematical calculation to determine how the reality goes out. But I'll get to that later. Some of Vega's capabilities we see in the game is providing a digitized map within helmets, highlighting weapons throughout his HUD, providing him upgrades to the HUD, communicating through radio comms, hacking his security systems, opening portals in and out of Fortress of Doom, letting the Slayer travel to different locations, teleporting Samuel Maker. Portions of Vega's systems can analyze dimensional abnormalities. Okay, so like nothing. Anyway, feats, let's go. You're up, Zim. Read. Actually, before that, I need to read some of the sources, or not the sources, the chat.
Why should they not skip on the domain? Because Cortana has access to the domain.
Also, technically, I hate to be that guy, but like every AI in Halo can access the domain if the domain is unlocked. They just have to find it and get in there. Multiple AIs have gone into the domain. Like when Cortana touched the domain, all it did for her was cure her rampancy and give her access to the information inside. She still had to convince Warden Eternal to let her in there. It didn't like upgrade her per se. She just got access to the entire history of information from the Forerunner Society. That's all it did. That's why she's capable of doing all this crazy stuff, and she's basically God. But go ahead, Zim.
Right. Well, what were you going to mention? Or are you getting your sources ready for this portion?
Oh, no. When I said sources, I meant stream. I was trying to talk about the stream. Mangler, you're saying the wholesome one is not a reliable source, is not the unwholesome one. He loves the misery didn't create when. When did I say that? Yet Slayer can die from jumping in lava.
Stood in one spot for an hour and didn't move a muscle. Had the body of an 18-year-old Olympic athlete at 14 years old. Took down 40 ST soldiers at once at 14 years old. Oh boy, is this before or after augmentations? Alright. Dove into the Covenant bunker, took out 20 aliens by himself and saved the platoon of Marine. Okay, can we get some good shit, please? Fuck.
Not even Dr. Halsey knows how he did that? Who cares?
Prevented the Covenant from finding Earth during the fall of Reach.
How's that a feat?
Responsible for the destruction of Halo, at least the first one. Oh, so hold on. We used plural earlier, but now we're including the singular? Okay.
Save Spartan Linda from being overrun by the Covenant and getting out of massive explosion. I'm pretty sure Linda died on Reach, so if you want to mention that he saved her, you also have to mention that he dropped the ball.
Killed the Prophet of Regret. Last I checked, Regret technically survived as a flood creature, but whatever. Successfully stowed away on the Prophet of Truth's ship. Rescued Cortana from the flood-infested Hive charity ship. Was in Cairo sleep for 4 years. I hate this so much. And got immediately right back up. Is that the impressive part? That he just got up immediately? Or I thought people just get up immediately after Cairo sleep.
So technically, no. When you get out of cryosleep, they point out that it layers on like a certain amount of the cryostasis portion sticks to your body because you're basically being frozen, so it causes your skin to itch like crazy. And they point out in Halo the Flood that if you're in full armor, it would be excruciatingly painful to come out of it. So what they're saying is that if he's getting up, that is a feat of his pain tolerance. But if they wanted to do that, they should have just explained how cryosleep worked.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because last I checked in fucking Halo Wars 2, everyone gets out of cryosleep and goes about their business.
It's not a pleasant... They don't portray it all that well. No, it's not a pleasant interaction.
All right. One-handed a rocket launcher like a boss. Defeated the Covenant, the Flood, the Didact, the Warden Eternal, Spartan Locke, and Prophet of Regret. One of these is not like the other.
Most of these. No, none of these are like the other. Well, except for the Prophet of Regret. The Didact, okay, I guess he did technically defeat the Didact, but I want to mention what Pimp Demon said again. Defeating him after he admitted he couldn't kill him with any technology and happened to conveniently have a bunch of composers. Saying he defeated the Warden Eternal, that's not really true. In their final fight, the Warden Eternal was going to kill them, and Cortana showed up and deconstructed all of his clones and their weapons.
Okay, so that this logic, we should have he defeated what's his face, Atriox as well. Then by that logic,
he defeated the Covenant. Yeah, to the point where they split up in the middle of the war and then went on to fight themselves later afterwards. He never defeated the Flood. They survived.
Well, to be fair, that one's a little unfair.
That's not unfair. They were still... Even the Foreigners didn't defeat the Flood. Cool.
Yeah, that's because they didn't have anyone... that's because they didn't have the right people on the job. Okay.
Bro, they had the Didact.
They didn't have the right people on the job, that's all I'm going to say. Can flip all types of vehicles, including the 66-ton Scorpion tank. Train with 40-kilogram dumbbells at 1G. At 2Gs, John would only feel normal using a leg machine at max weight. Broke the bones... What the heck? What's going on here?
What?
Seems my screen's glitching a little bit. There we go.
Okay.
Bones body as T soldiers. Kicked a guard 8 meters away. Shattered concrete targets by punching them. Crushed a jackal skull with a single kick. Kicked through Elite's energy shield and cracked his best plate like porcelain. Kept a tight grip on cars undercarriage while driving, despite being pelted and cut by loose gravel for a full kilometer. Escaped from a Covenant brute pinning him down. Knocked the Banshee away while severely injured. Can destroy a Wraith in 3 punches. Pried open elevator doors with his bare hands. Broke down a metal wall with Spartan charge. With an injured leg, lifted an I-beam buried in a granite boulder the size of a warthog for at least a few minutes. Cracked the Pelican windshield by punching it. The same Pelican windshield that was previously unfazed by crash landing caused by 2 anti-aircraft cannons.
Oh.
You need more context for a lot of these feats to be impressive. I don't understand why they keep fucking this one up.
No. No context.
Escaped Halo from its destruction, which only took about 15 minutes. Dodged a plasma bolt in a split second. Sprinted half a kilometer in 17 seconds flat. Chief's thruster pack allows him to catch up to a Covenant ship moving at 0.09 the speed of light. Dodge point-blank fire from a minigun. Barely dodged Covenant pulse laser shot from 100 kilometers away. With Cortana's help, slapped aside a Scorpion missile. Reaction time under stress was documented at 1/16 of the standard human norm. Outran plasma explosion as seen above. A Spartan wearing Chief's armor managed to jump from ground level to the second floor of a building. Capable of dodging shots from sentinels, which are stated to fire particle beams. We will not include that as light speed, don't worry. Somehow escaped the Halo's activation and destruction, saved Kelly before Covenant Bomb took her out, jumped in front of a needler shot after it was fired, drove, again, you need actually, I think they did mention needler speeds a while back. Drove a ghost while it was boosted by Cortana and jumped out of it just before it flew off a cliff. I do that all the time, that's not impressive. Piloted a broadsword Skydive's warship, maneuvering across the constant shifts in the path. I played that section, that wasn't impressive.
So I want to point out that in that section for speed, they specifically mentioned a Spartan wearing his armor doing a feat. If you scroll up there, a Spartan wearing Chief's armor managed to jump from ground level to the second floor of a building. But we're not going to mention Fred or Kelly dodging Sentinel beam. Well, actually, Kelly dodging a super Sentinel beam from the Onyx Sentinels, which are stated to be different types of Sentinels that can combine their energy to make them stronger and faster. Or Fred dodging beam rifles after he sees it get fired. They also did not include the feats from Palace Hotel in Halo Evolutions, where Master Chief sees a beam rifle being fired at a Marine. He crosses the entire room, grabs her, and then moves her before the beam rifle hits her. That is like an incredibly fast speed feat, and they didn't mention that at all. Convenient. Anyway, continue.
Durability. Survived an escape pod crash that killed everyone else on board. Survived being blasted, albeit knocked down by a firing squad of hunters. Dealt with the side effects of his augmentation, including clumsiness, pain dies, they even bled a little, constant headaches, every bone in his body aching. Survived crashing a Pelican, though he and his shielding were knocked out completely. Survived getting blasted by plasma from a room full of thousands of Covenant, though through his shields were completely drained and the skin on his forearms was blistered. See, that'd be impressive if you explain how hot plasma is. Survived the fall from orbit. Survived the laser shots from Monitor 343 Guilty Spark. Can tank plasma attacks from raids. Regarding the laser shots from Guilty Spark, can they really be all that impressive if technically Sergeant Johnson survived for a period of time after being blasted by one?
That's not how they actually work in the lore. So there's examples of the monitors using them in the comics, and when they fire on a hunter, they completely vaporize the hunter on contact. So I'll be honest, Halo 3 having Johnson stay alive long enough afterwards is the most bullshit thing. He should have been a pile of ashes. There shouldn't have been anything left of him.
So Johnson's just that guy then. Understood. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The small part katana helped him survive being the epicenter of a Havoc nuke's blast, 30 megatons. Technically, that would be more than 30 megatons, because according to Mangler, megatons are a little different.
I'm going to clarify why they should have made a nuke section to explain what 30 megatons in Halo actually blows up. Hint, hint, it's not a city.
Survived being caught in Neptune's gravity well, hitting several bits of rubble and debris on the way, crashing onto the planet's surface and getting buried under debris afterwards. Survived being in the cockpit of a Covenant ship as it crashed head first, was buried under an avalanche and dug himself out, has been stated to potentially be able to survive being crushed under a few thousand tons of stone, withstood being pinned under warthogs, can survive cannon shots from banshees, kept on running while molten armor was dripping down his leg. Can probably survive a 300-meter fall, survive floating in space for 6 months straight, survive being in a crashing Pelican. Doomslayer.
So I want to point out that they said he could potentially survive thousands of tons. It was not potentially. That is a statement made by John in Silent Store, in Halo Oblivion, and that is when he's 15 years old with the Mark IV Mjolnir armor, and that is only because of the survival part is only so context wise, they're standing in a desert, they're moving across a path, and there is an area where there's a loaded crevice filled with tons of rocks and sand, and he points out it's no good, we can't move up here. If that stuff comes undone and it blows out from here as we crawl up, we Spartans are basically we're going to get blown away. We Spartans would probably be fine if we weren't blown away, but all the Marines that are here would die, and if they weren't crushed instantly, they'd suffocate under the load. So the main reason why it would potentially kill him is him getting blown off the sides and falling somewhere else. It's not the actual rocks that would kill him. And that's the weakest armor when he's only like 15 years old. But anyway, continue.
All right.
Also, they didn't provide a calculation for the him surviving Requiem's gravity well, but they're completely capable of calculating the heat needed for a wraith shot to survive, or for the heat and the force in joules of energy for a wraith shot to be able to vaporize his entire Mjolnir suit. Well, they can't calculate the speed at which it enters an atmosphere. Interesting.
Yep. Was trained decorated Marine even before the invasion began. Single-handedly stopped multiple invasions of demons on Mars. Became a hero and champion of the Night Sentinels and people of Argent Dunir. Continued to terrorize forces of Hell while trapped there. Did we mention he fought demons? Saved the Earth, prevented Hell and its denizens from consuming the universe. Foiled the Spider Mastermind's plan to bring Hell onto Earth. Defeated the Khan Maker, which held the accumulated knowledge of Maker Society. Bested the Icon of Sin twice, with the Icon being Hell's greatest champion. Killed the Dark Lord and Primeval Davlot, stopping the demonic invasion of Earth.
Hang on. I'm going to read the chat. Mangler, are you banished? No. Mangler explaining Sessio Maru to Red Dusk. No, I'm going over this right now. What if Chief got mendicant bias on his AI? That would make Cortana seem like a fucking toy. He's much more impressive. They just cherry pick feats. It's not surprising. Yes. Giga Chad Johnson. Why are we following Master Chief? We should be following this Chad, I guess. When did Master Chief get buried under an avalanche? In Silent Storm. Though that's actually different from Oblivion. Oblivion, he just states he would be fine. It's just if he and the rest of the Spartans were like blown away. But he does actually get buried under an avalanche along with his entire team in the previous novel. Excuse me, but where is the statement for Mjolnir armor being able to survive an airstrike? It's not an airstrike, it's an artillery strike. And the statement comes from Halo Retribution.
All right. Power. Tears through demon skulls with little issue. Bust through the obsidian hides of Barons of Hells. Punch through an imp, tearing out a spine. Defeated giant demons such as a Cyber Demon and Dreadnought Titan. Punch through biomech armor. Don't worry, we have calculations. The BFG can vaporize swarms of demons. Once again, calculations. That's not very good, actually, if that's what we're going to BFG at. The Crucible may have served as a form of energy for the entire world. Interesting. Defeated Davlot the Dark Lord. Is everything going to say defeated Davlot the Dark Lord? Okay, no. Can outrun gunfire. Ran past bullets. Oh, joy. Okay, there we go. Has top speed 90. The Slayer goes from 230 to 300 units per second when activating haste, putting him at 117 miles per hour. All right.
Yeah, a lot of these are links. A lot of their sources are links to Reddit posts or Steam posts. Dodge
meteor shower sun by the Icon of Sin, which re-enters Earth's atmosphere at Mach 32. Hey, they do re-entering calculations.
I'm gonna yeah. So you see what they did there? You see what they did there? They're like, oh, meteor shower. We got to calculate this. It's like, what about when Master Chief fell from the planet like twice on 2 different planets in the main games? Oh, I don't know about that.
Can fire on power marauders who can instantly react and block his own gunfire and be a point-blank shotguns or ranged ballista.
Also, I would like to point out again. I'm not even so. There's two things. One, you can't use the meteor shower feat for the doomslayer because that meteor shower, if you click on it, would you like to see how many of these shots are actually aimed at the Slayer? Just take a guess.
I'm gonna say 2.
Oh, okay. 2. That's not a bad feat. All right. Now pay attention to the shots. How many of them are actually angling towards... Oh, shit. Look at that. Almost none of them. Yes, there is a point where they do fire, but like the ones that are coming out of the sky that are re-entering are not aiming for him. They're just flying all over the battlefield. Most of them aren't even hitting him. Most of them aren't even hitting the building.
Whack.
Yeah, so the things that are firing at him are fire projectiles shot from the Icon of Sin's forehead. They somehow conflated that with the similarly looking but completely different meteor showers. As for the dodging the Cacodemon fire, it's just use the... They said they were using instruction manuals. Just use the guide from Doom 1, it literally states that the cacodemons, like those pink things they're firing, that's ball lightning. So like you could just say, oh, here's ball lightning, here's what ball lightning scales to. You got an actual speed feat, and you're not using it. No. What's this downplay?
All right, let's see here. Survive the temple falling down upon him. Survive being exposed to radioactive material. Unharmed after being sent several feet by an explosion. Survive being launched out of a cannon into a building. Survive the explosion of Vega's core. 573 tons of TNT.
No, he does not. Because the explosion, they make it a point that even if the arc reactor were to melt down, the actual arc reactor for Mars were to melt down during 2016, both Samuel Hayden and the Slayer would not survive the explosion. He does not, like the Vega core does not blow up in his face. While the energy does disperse, it opens a portal in reality and he just gets sent through. He does not tank the explosion. That's not what's presented. You just, like, at the end of the level, you activate the core, you see a release of energy, and then you just disappear and the mission ends. So the implication that they have is that he tanked it. But we have a direct statement that he can't tank it. So,
modern weapons cannot harm the Hell Suit. Hang on. Additionally, relics were found in a tomb alongside the Doom Marine. Some incantation tablets and ancient combat suit was given in the Predator suit. When found, it was encased in a inscribed stone tomb. The suit was extracted from the rock, cleaned, and subjected to numerous tolerance tests, and found to be almost impervious to any damage. It appeared to have some mechanical function as well.
Hey Zim, do you see anything about a 2 megakelvin cutting laser in there?
No, I'm not seeing that.
Interesting.
It says almost impervious, so we don't even know if that's the thing that hurt it.
Yes, we don't know it, and they also make it a point it's not impervious to everything.
Oh, it's okay though, because it survived the Iconstant's meteor attack.
I mean, I guess the Master Chief 1v1 the Didac in a fair match and beat him too.
Master Chief's long 10 years as soldier has put him up against all manner of foes. Variety of feats displayed. A Spartan team black survived monitors, lasers impacting their back. Okay. Vaporizing hunters. Okay, so you do have vaporizing hunters. All right, give me Sergeant Johnson scaling.
Yes.
Members of Spartan Team Black survived the Wraith Blast, 938.7 kilotons. Is that?
They calculate that. They calculate that based on. Here's another mistake they made. They calculate it based on, if you look at the kilotons, it is a calculation made from some person on Discord for the amount of vaporization value for titanium over the cubic centimeters of the titanium armor they're wearing. The mistake they're making here is that they would have to upscale that hundreds to thousands of times, because titanium A is specifically stated to be a unique form of titanium that is strengthened on the molecular level. It would take significantly more power to burn it. So even that kiloton calculation they did should be orders of magnitude more powerful. Way more powerful. So that's wrong. That is technically downplay. And they would know about that because they sourced from these guides. They know what titanium A is.
Units in Halo Wars, such members of Red Team can briefly survive a glassing beam, 45 megatons. Wait.
I'm going to say that's not fair game to use a glassing beam. That's
valid.
That's kind of ridiculous.
Valid, because when they kill my boy Rookie. Spartan, Davis, and Palmer can create after images. Sergeant Johnson can seemingly dodge a point-blank shotgun blast. You call him the GOAT, and yet you don't give him guilty spark scaling. Crazy. Spartan Tom was capable of moving faster than the Warthog. Spartans with speed boost are capable of moving at 112 miles per hour. Noble 6 survived the fall from orbit. So did Chief, right?
He survived the fall from orbit, but we can't calculate the amount of force that did. We'll just say he survived the fall from orbit.
Sarah Palmer can dodge plasma pistol fire. The Covenant. Grunts are strong enough to tear a human apart. Grunts and elites can survive crashes from orbit. Bullshit. Let me see this. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's a very different scenario. That's what I thought. A Broken Warthog flying with the
Yeah.
galaxy hammer. Units in Halo Wars, such as the Arbiter, can move in tandem with the Spartan laser. Okay,
They're using the upgrades for the Arbiter because the Arbiter has the ability to have like a deflection, so it can deflect damage reflected back on it. But I'm going to say that's more of a gameplay mechanic referring to damage inflicted on the Arbiter. He should be able to react to a Spartan laser, but for completely different reasons that have nothing to do with his ability. So I wouldn't use that.
Okay, the Banished, Atriox. We are not scaling him to Atriox, bro. Fuck out. While he doesn't directly scale to Atriox, he downscales. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to say this again. When Atriox fights him, he specifically catches him off guard. He does not fight him in a direct 1v1. Actually, you can argue every single time Atriox ever fights a Spartan, he always catches him off guard. Because even in Halo Wars 2, when he fought Red Team, he specifically caught them off guard and went up from behind them and started climbing their armor.
Hold up a minute. While that may be valid, we are not going to sit here and pretend that ass whooping was.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you his weapons don't scale to Master Chief's armor. They absolutely do. What I'm saying is that like Atriox beating them has always been a little bit disingenuous because he always has to take them off guard.
But all I'm saying is that the only guy Atriox didn't beat just happens to be the guy he ran away from.
However, I do have a problem with some of the other stuff they were saying for the ban. Why did they just put in Yap Yap the Destroyer but don't even mention that?
Is this the
Atriox being alive
too?
I'm pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure he's like a boss in Halo 5. Like he's one of the guys in the grunt mech things, but we don't know that much about him.
Atriox was alive after a Halo Ring's destruction. See before verdict. Chief has fought and defeated multiple forward Sentinels. Composer capable of composing 7 million people. It appears to create an explosion visible from space, likely inapplicable. Sentinels intercept and deflect white-hot beams. Warden Eternal can create large shockwaves. 343 Guilty Spark was alive after a Halo Ring's destruction. Did Guilty Spark end up fucking being composed or in the composer or no?
No, he is turned.
Debatable. Fuck out of here with your guys' standards.
Yeah, their standards are a little weird, but I was gonna say, Guilty Spark does not get composed. Rather, he gets transferred out of his body through a completely different type of technology. They have two different types of technology to take your body, to take your consciousness out of your physical body.
While Didac is physically superior to Master Chief, Chief and other Spartans have been able to harm him. Chief destroyed one of Didac's eyes and kept getting up after taking a beatdown from the Didac. Also, to explain Didac, he exists as two entities: ESO Didac and Didac.
So, to be clear, that's not really fair game because taking a knife and stabbing someone's eyeball is a little bit different than, penetrating their physical body and armor.
Okay,
because he just stuck it through the eyelid.
Experiences the sensory input of thousands of soldiers and can process it. Didac chills inside the composer beam. ISO Didac seems to outpace his AI, covered millions of years in his sleep. Survived the hit from a seeker that one-shot war sphinxes, which are capable of flipping continents. Inapplicable, see before verdict. Okay. Forerunner records lead Rhea to believe Didac would be sufficient substitute for the planet-crushing weapon. Inapplicable. Didac can survive in slip space, which is an 11-dimensional space-time that no known technology or material or Halsey can allow survival in without proper shielding. No. Hold on. If we acknowledge that it's an 11-dimensional space-time that their shielding can survive, wouldn't we just argue Doomguy's weapons have no chance because they don't?
No, because then they would have to concede their positions on higher dimensionality are wrong, and that would require them to go back and rethink things. But I'll get to that when they get to before the verdict, because we're almost there. Didac was composed when a huge chunk of Halo Ring fell from orbit and set off 6 composed inapplicable. See before the verdict. Notice how all of his things are just inapplicable. You won't see this for Slayer.
We won't see this for Slayer. No. Cortana before her death, Halo 4 was the most powerful AI ever created by humanity. Some of the following AI have been compared to her directly. Simulator.
So I'm going to say that statement, while it isn't a guide, that is incorrect. There are direct statements, not just in Empty Throne, but other statements provided in what's it called, Saint's Testimony, that prove that higher grade AIs are actually superior to lower ones. So Cortana is only a third generational AI. Things like Black Box, who is a fourth generational AI, and Roland, who is a fifth generational AI, should be superior to her in every conceivable way. They also have better feats, but anyway, go back up to the thing. Because technically all these things apply to her. In a short period of time, Iona simulated over 1 billion years from the Big Bang to the time of Homo sapiens. Yeah, she basically creates like a data simulation inside of a make-believe courtroom scene that recreates the beginning of the universe all the way up to the formation of like Homo sapiens. Iona can recognize pi as a constant baseline. Iona can do this, which sounds impressive. I don't know what they're using, but it's probably something from Saint's Testimony. Black Box can perform billions of operations a second and monitor light years of space. Black Box is faster than Spartans. Black Box would also perform 5,060,000,000 operations. Black Box is comparable to Forwarder AI. That's not really true. They just said he was considered interesting. Intrepid AI was able to directly take control of Spartan Fred's armor. UNSC AIs have been directly compared to Forwarder AIs. They just sorts the Black Box statement again.
It's all Black Box.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah, they didn't use that Black Box statement accurately, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. All the Black Box's feats are sufficient anyway.
Okay.
But Doomslayer.
The Doomslayer, by the time Ancient Gods treated as the strongest individual in Doom franchise, known as the Beast. He conquered every demon variant in Hell, defeated Davoth and the Icon of Sin, and overcame the Makers. He easily scales to nearly every relevant feat across the franchise.
Yeah, I remember when he easily beat that Titan in Dark Ages using his bare hands. Oh wait.
Forces of Hell, Revenants of Doom can destroy metal beams with their missiles. Hell Knights are tough as dump trucks. A Marauder can move its arm to react to microwave beams. Titans are immune to conventional weaponry. The Icon of Sin falling over upon its death in Doom 2 devastated the surface of Hell, destroying untold miles, leaving a wreck. Doom Guy did not believe demons could exist there. Okay, I'm going to keep this a straight buck. This would not scale the Doom Guy. It's a giant corpse falling over. Why would this scale to Doom Guy?
Also, the Titans being immune to conventional weaponry, that's conventional weaponry, like, how are we defining that? Are we just defining that as all weapons that exist within the known universe and obey their laws? Or just, like, standard weapons produced by a military? Like,
yeah,
that's such a vague term. You have to define what that means.
Okay, so
yeah, throw that out.
These Icon of Sin things don't really scale to Doomslayer. That's not really how that works. Those are feats that he never replicates. You would just argue his weaponry can hurt the Icon of Sin, but even then, he has to hit a weak spot in the first time he fights him, and the second time Icon of Sin does come back is a little more fair game. While it is mentioned that Davoth lacks a part of himself in his fight with the Slayer, lore actually answers where that part is. Within the Divinity Machine, the same part ripped out of him by the Father and taken by the Con Maker. As we know, the Slayer and Davoth have an inherent connection from the ending of Ancient Gods Part 2, and that Slayer gained all of his enhanced powers from the Divinity Machine. So it stands to reason that logically the part of Davoth ripped out by the Father is presently imbued into the Slayer. Or at the very least was used to awaken powers that were dormant as per Hugo Martin. Regardless, there is a clear narrative intent. Slayer at bare minimum scales to a significant portion of Davoth's power in his prime. If not scaled, him and the Father at their best outright as another primeval. Wow.
That's extremely refutable by the fact that Davoth shows up in a fucking mech suit. It does that directly refutes that position.
Davoth sustains all demons outside of Hell. Bro, what is this? Father's clash with Davoth split the sky and made Hell tremble. Davoth created Hell. Oh man, fuck, bro. Just give him everything at this point. Slayer's predecessors and extended family is the pinnacle of humanity. He should easily scale to their feats. Commander Keen, I believe this one's Commander Keen, can massively Can fall massive heights without taking damage. Can one shot aliens larger than him with his ray gun. Can survive being hit by a large. Wait, this with this fucking ray gun. How does this fucking scale the Doom guy? Okay, can survive being hit by a large block of pure ice that freezes him instantly. BJ Blazkowicz kill Hitler, and that's pretty cool. Quake. The Doomslayer has made several appearances in the Quake franchise, yet another id Software franchise playable in 2 of them. In Quake 3, the Slayer is chosen by cosmic beings as being among the greatest warriors in all of time, space, and history. He's also playable in Quake Champions, where all playable characters have been shown comparable to one another. Alright. For more clarification on the canonicity of Slayer's appearances and more in-depth explanation on Quake scaling and its cosmology, Scalebearer crushed large temple with his powers. Nyx can remove her belt buckle, dash towards Scalebearer, and activate her phasing ability after a bullet has already been fired. Tanked rocket fire and is able to dodge rockets after they've been fired. Killed the ascended Dr. Gimlin, variable Shub Nigurat by ripping and tearing it apart from the inside. Capable of killing Vadiger alongside any of the other Quake 3 characters. Other Vadiger, such as Catalia, crash on Earth so violently the first islands and contents arose from the ocean. Rune of Black Magic can keep a temple from falling into a black hole. 4 runes combined together can wipe out the surface of the earth. Can create large dimensions, contain vast stars and celestial objects like black holes. Weaknesses. In spite of all of John's accomplishments, he is not without his own unique set of drawbacks. While Chief's shield is fairly strong, it is infallible and can be broken through enough force, which is a large problem as while the shield is recharging. Chief needs to try his best to not get hit, or he's a goner. Didn't you literally have a feat where he survived plasma with his shield down?
He survives getting shot with 6 Hunter fuel rod shots to the face, and then survives a plasma grenade afterwards. Even if you assume the shields are up, we don't know for sure if they are. That basically means like we have no idea how much punishment it takes to drop him in the Mark 6. Because he got hit with the strongest infantry weapons back to back to back.
One thing that seems especially good at stripping the strength off his armor is plasma-based projectiles, which are more potent at depleting the shield than normal rounds. Another defensive problem for him is his armor lock. While it does give a much better chance at surviving things he otherwise wouldn't have, it restricts movement heavily and makes him a sitting duck. Oh, so we are giving him armor lock. Okay.
That's not lore accurate for the reasons I just said. He's been hit with 6 fuel rods at the same time, and they did nothing to drop his shields. If you don't believe his shields are active, that means his base armor can't be penetrated by 6 fuel rods to the face, and then a plasma grenade.
We're just going to ignore that.
Halo Uprising, if you guys want the source for that.
Seemingly one of the most overpowered pieces of the Chief's arsenal is AI companion, though unfortunately he's no longer in possession of Cortana. And while his replacement, the weapon, can do most of the same things, similar efficiency, she is still learning and can be prone to error occasionally. You fucking cowards. The last and most glaring downside for Chief is that his limited pool of ammo for many of his weapons have, which will force him to either swap out to another weapon or try to pick up ammo elsewhere.
Okay, so notice how they haven't mentioned Master Chief's luck yet. At all.
How the fuck is something being
they just glossed over it.
Downside? Everything in fiction can be broken with enough force, really fucking stupid? No, because we're about to have Doomslayer's armor be indestructible. The Slayer has similar to the Chief, having limited ammo supply at all times. If the Slayer runs out of ammo, he's down to his Doomblade, chainsaw, and bare hands. We're not going to give Master Chief his weapons, okay? The Slayer's brutal and rash fighting style means he's as strategic as the usual Marine, mainly focusing on getting up in close to rip and tear as quickly as possible. Killing Davok will also put the Doomslayer in a coma-like state, leaving him quite vulnerable. All right.
What about the radiation? What about the radiation protection? So he doesn't have radiation protection. He needs a chem suit to do that. So you can just fuck him over with radiation.
They did give him hang on, let's go back here real quickly.
They did not give him a chem suit.
No. I mean, I believe they did give him resistances. Survive being exposed to radioactive material.
Yes, but that is not consistent. Also, we don't know if this is the Doom guy. I've said this before. This is a Doom Marine because there are multiple Doom Marines. It is not just Doom guy. You find other Doom Marines in the first 2 Doom games, but even if you believe that that's not consistent, in the games he consistently has to use chem suits, both in the original as well as in Eternal. And if you believe for 1 minute that that's only a gameplay mechanic, then you have to get rid of like most of the stuff in his kit as well, including his power-ups.
Well, you say if Master Chief has Medican bias as AI, then it would just be a way more powerful AI than like Cortana, is what he said. All right, the Havoc nuke. During the events of Halo 4, Master Chief detonates a 30 megaton Havoc bomb point blank on himself in order to destroy a Didact ship. To clarify how he survived, Cortana used a hard light bridge under him to create a massive hard light bubble, which shielded him from the blast. Cortana was splintered at this time and faded away once the bubble ran out of power. While the nuke is a narrative hard cap for Chief's durability at the time of Halo 4, as the blast would have killed him, it is important to know his shields were down and he was near death from his beating at the hands of the Didact. He also was wearing outdated Mjolnir armor and later received the current line in Halo 5. I thought he only has Mjolnir 6.
He has Mark 6, but he has only the Gen 1 exoskeleton. He does not have Gen 2 and the Gen 3.
Okay.
That's
so
an additional modification.
They just kept calling it Mark 6 later on. They just made new like.
So the total, okay, the Mark is the total set of baseline armor functions, like shield strength and everything, like the core composite of the armor. The exoskeleton is additional features put on top of it that can improve additional things like shield strength or give you better sensors or I don't know, additional equipment that you can carry.
Right.
Something like that.
In Halo Wars.
Oh, hey, hang on. Go back. Okay, so they said, first of all, it's to create a massive hardline bridge bubble. It's confirmed by in-game data. It is not confirmed by in-game data. It is assumption that she makes it from the hardline thing. Secondly, the presumption that they're making here is that Master Chief can only use that. While they do acknowledge, like, his shields were down, they would probably still argue he could only tank that, a 30 megaton blast with Cortana with a hard light bridge. That's not really true. Cortana points out in both Halo the Flood and at various points in the Halo games, she can overclock and overcharge Chief's shields on purpose with any energy source. But you also gave Master Chief access to the hard light shield, which he can use, and it's made of hard light, the same energy source that you argued he had here. So he'd be capable of replicating the same thing. And also that was a fragment of Cortana under your own logic. Third, a 30 megaton nuclear bomb or a 30 megaton Havoc nuke in Halo is not city level, which is what 30 megatons is, typically. That is the term that they use to describe the payload amount. In Halo The Fall of Reach and Halo The Fall of Reach comic, they show you what a 30 megaton bomb does when they use it to detonate the city of Kodazar on Sigma Octanus 4. And when they detonate the explosion and they're flying away from the planet in orbit, you see the explosion and they point out that it is like a new sun appears in the star system and it literally blocks out all the stars in the sky. In the comic, you see the explosion from space and it covers the entire country-sized landmass, just spreading out to a continent. That is stated to be a 35 megaton bomb. It is only 5 megatons more than this. It's approximately roughly the same payload. So it's actually not like 30 megatons, it's more like, teratons or exatons? Whatever the amount of energy for a country to continent level explosion is. And if you think, well, that's not really consistent, it is, because Admiral Whitcomb points out that if you just take 9 fusion nuclear warheads, like any 9 warheads, not even like Havoc nukes, and you just attach a fusion pulse charge to them, to boost their yield 100-fold, it turns them into a planet buster called the Nova Bomb. So they can blow up planets with their nuclear technology. Wait, can you still hear me, Zim, or did I cut out?
No, I'm still here. You're good.
Okay, they can blow up planets with their nuclear technology, and they have blown up planets. They blew up I think it's Gyre or whatever, the planet in or Gyre, the planet in Halo Envoy, and they also blew up a moon in Ghosts of Onyx with these Nova bombs. So if it only takes a yield of like a couple nukes together being magnified with their payload 100 times over, then my bomb would at least have to be multi-continental at its highest. Or like moon level. to blow up a planet. It can't be city level. And by their own words, remember what their own words said, his shields were down. And he had an outdated piece of armor. You remember what they said, Zim?
No, not Alan.
So yeah, just saying, the Havoc nuke is not a city-level nuke. It's much, much higher than that. The potency is way stronger.
All right, now we're on Mac Cannon.
Go ahead.
And Halo, hang on. Having a little bit of breakfast since this went on longer than I thought it would.
Yes.
In Halo Wars, Brute Warlords can survive a shot from the Mac Cannon, from the Unity Spirit of Fire. These shots are fired at about 20 kilometers per second. The kinetic energy from such an impact would be 64 kilotons of TNT. Bullshit.
They lied. They lied right there, but continue.
Well, there are statements that Mac fires a metal rod at a percentage of the speed of light. Those are more reasonably attached to super Mac cannons, while the ones that Brute Warlords survive are more reasonably normal Mac cannons.
Click that link. I will refute them right now. They just lied. I have the source that they're using right here. Okay.
Wait, this is
a normal guide. All right, so the Mac Cannon, as it says, is the Magnetic Accelerator Mac Cannon is one of the largest and best weapons the UNSC has in its fleet. Utilizing thousands of magnetic relays, it can ram a 600-ton projectile at nearly 40% the speed of light. Able to polarize most Covenant ships in 1 to 3 blasts, these weapons are mounted on UNSC spaceships large enough to hold them. Now, notice something down there, the variant page. Can you scroll in, or is it possible to scan in, or no?
Let me... I can't really zoom in.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they were disingenuous here. So they already point out that the normal Mac Cannon can do this. This is mounted on a starship, so they're wrong. Their own source refutes them. In the variant thing, that yellow bubble that you see right there that says variants, it says stabilized variants. The Super Mac or Big Mac is 500% larger than the ship-based original, is capable of firing 3,000-ton slug at nearly half the speed of light. Due to its size, the Super Mac can only be stationed on planets or orbital platforms. So both of them state they can fire at nearly half the speed of light. Both of them can fire at 40%. One of them is just 600 tons versus 3,000 tons. If you plug in those calculations, you get something that's, I think, around like a few gigatons of force from the basic Mac rounds. And if you want to consider how much like power that is, if you go back to the original source, like what they claimed, I believe was actually I'm good.
Wait. 30 kilometers per second?
Yeah, so they claim that for that source, that's only one example of this. All of the guides consistently confirm the Mac cannons fire this way, and even in Halo: The Fall of Reach, they still confirm the Super Macs fire at that distance. Only that one statement in the series claims otherwise, and it's consistently contradicted by every piece of guidebook information. There's also statements in Ghosts of Reach, or is it Shadows of Reach, that the minigun that the broadswords have, the little minigun that their basic planes have, fire at 10% the speed of light. So you are literally arguing a Mac round that is fired from a capital class frigate is thousands of times slower than a minigun on a ship like hundreds of thousands of times smaller in the same fleet.
Sounds right to me.
That doesn't make sense, and also it's contradicted. So what they're saying is that it's 64 kilotons, which is town level. If you take 600 tons of a 600-ton mass projectile, accelerate at the speed of light, and then convert that for the force acceleration, you get an island level explosion. You get a gigaton level explosion. Same thing with if you take a 300-ton slug like the Big Mac round. So they're wrong. The feats for them being able to survive that are gigatons. And point out to point out, they have no problem with the Brute Warlords scaling to a Mac round. I do. I take issue with that. And I'm a bigger Halo fan than they are. I have more sources than they are. If anything, I'd be more likely to use everything I have, and I would not give them that. But you are objectively wrong, and using your own lore, yeah, basically every major Spartan and every Brute Warlord is island level.
Hang on. Pimp Ransom calcs. He's saying it's 1 million megatons.
Yes, and what is 1 million megatons? Because a megaton is 1,000,000 tons. What is... if a normal Mac fires at 40% the speed of light, it is a yield of super... okay.
Teraton?
It's not... Okay, how did you get teratons? It's... that's wrong. Because it's a 600-ton projectile.
Even then, just being logical about this for a minute, Matt Cannon was given to the Spirit of Fire to fight other ships.
Yes.
Hang on. Let's see what the reason they gave for it was. Let's see. Hang on. The Spirit of Fire was originally commissioned as a colony ship. As outer colony tension increased, a magnetic cannon was added capable of accelerating low mass depleted uranium slugs to a fraction of the speed of light. When the Hue Coming War started, the Spirit of Fire was repurposed. Vessel bays that once housed fabricated schools, more armors, the Spirit of Fire and its crews considered missing in action. Yeah, no.
So their own source debunks them. It literally states that it fires at a fraction of the speed of light.
Wow. All right, ring destruction feats.
There's nothing really here to be using. So I just want to point out, no one uses these feats. Who are they arguing? Like, what kind of Halo straw man is this? What person is going around arguing that Spartans are surviving Mac rounds or glassing beams, or that Spark is surviving the destruction of the ring? What is this? Where are they coming up with this nonsense?
What do you mean, man? This is their scaling. They're trying
to... Have you heard anyone ever make the claim that... I mean, Halo fans do so much downplaying for their own fucking verses. They cuck themselves. I've never heard of anyone ever using Guilty Spark surviving the ring as an argument for him backscaling to Master Chief. That's wild. We can skip this section because it's not relevant at all. They're addressing it to as a misconception. There is no misconception because no one was using this.
All right.
Well, just a monitor thing, because they also think the glassing is available. Oh my god! In Halo Wars, Spartans with modern mutant armor can survive 4 seconds of exposure to Covenant glassing beams. So I want to be clear, that's actually not modern Mjolnir armor. That's Mark IV Mjolnir armor, technically. They just have a shielding module for some reason, which is lore inaccurate. They don't have Mark Vs or Mark VIs. But it's actually possible to calculate the amount of energy the beam produces per second during the events of Halo 3 ODST. The Covenant used glassing beams to excavate the portal at Voy. On October 20th, 2552, a small group of ships began to excavate the portal. Next day, tough at roughly sunrise, much of the portal was uncovered. We could see that this work is being done by 5 ships. Hang on. The portal is about 117 kilometers in diameter. Comparing the diameter of this portal to the depth of excavation, we can assume it was at least a kilometer deep underground. When the excavation started on October 20th, you see the progress of sunrise the next day. This image of the portal next day reveals that roughly the quarter had been excavated. So they're basically giving a time frame for glassing.
So
I wouldn't use this.
What they're saying is, based on how long it takes for them to mine through the ground, they can calculate the amount of energy it would be generating.
That's a bit wrong for statements they have not provided in Silent Storm. So in Silent Storm, an elite shipmaster makes it clear when he's doing some glassing of various one of the planets he's on. One of the prophets he's with is asking him if there's any way they can expedite the process. and they point out that that the heat of this weapon can burn all the way through, like to. It's not to the mantle, but it's like a significant portion of the earth. It's just that they don't put the beams on full charge, and they could burn down to something like a volcano and go all the way down if they needed to exacerbate like an extinction scale event. So they can burn much faster than they're doing it. They just choose not to because they're only trying to glass the surface.
There's a difference between being a fan and being a power scaler. You cannot be a fan of a character and still power scale him. Yeah, sure you can. It's just that you have to be aware that if you're a fan of a character, you always have to keep things in mind when you're gaining your sources of information. If someone's a fan and they provide you every source for their claims and every raw like piece of information, that's fine. But the problem is that you have examples like this where they're literally ignoring their own scans, which, I mean, that's just a G1blog special at this point.
Mangler, you know that gigaton is only 1,000 megatons. Also, I got teratons because I found a kinetic energy calc and got millions of megatons and a million megatons of teraton. Where did you find the calc? Because I did the calculation, and what I got was gigatons. I took the exact values that they gave me. There is no million megaton calc.
So
you shouldn't be getting teratons.
Let's assume it's valid let's assume the math is valid. It's probably not, but let's assume it's valid. Let's go down to the reasoning. Spartans being capable of surviving glassing for multiple seconds is consistent within both Halo Wars titles, but has little evidence beyond that. Go fuck yourselves. I saw what you accepted for Doomslayer. Fuck out of here. Ain't no fucking way the Wayback Machine is fucking more valid than direct primary source material. Go fuck yourselves. Sorry. Glassing itself is a huge threat narratively, and we haven't seen it interact with characters all that much. Wait. Killing a Spartan in little over 4 seconds allows it to be both reasonable to be a narrative threat and allows Spartan to scale to its 45 megaton per second output. We do see Glassing Beam completely obliterate brutes in this Halo Wars 2 cutscene, which would serve as perhaps the strongest counter-argument against the scaling's viability, given the speed at which they were disintegrating at such distance from the Glassing Beam itself. These brutes, however, are more or less fodder compared to most named characters and Spartans. More so, modern Mjolnir armor with shields and Halo Reach is shown Mjolnir helmets can survive glassing. Damn.
Are they using fucking Noble Sixes? That's there's no evidence for that. It's just like, oh, well, we see him die and the helmet's still there later. It's like, that's just for... We don't even see the beam.
Hold on, let's see that scene again. Hold on. Let's see that again.
No, yeah, all right, let's see. Let's see the beam. No. Hang on. Let's see the beam. All right, I'm waiting for the beam. Oh, no beam. Oh, wow. He survived the glass.
Long for Reach to fall. Our enemy was ruthless.
Hey, hang on, mute that shit. But that is not a...
Where's the pelican? Where'd the pelican come from?
Me. I put it there. That is not sufficient evidence.
Oh man! Oh, brings a tear to my eye. Oh man! Oh, probably someone would have cried. All right.
Did you use 40% the speed of light or 4%? Because 4% the speed of light is what he gets the Mac to gigatons. I used 40%.
You want to double check your calculations?
Okay. Pim Demon, do you know how to put 40% into a calculator?
Wait, did you put 0.4? Or did you do...
No. So 0.4, I didn't put 0.04. 0.04 is 4%. 0.40 is 40%.
Yes, I understand that, but are you sure you put it in correctly?
Yes, I put in 40%. I specifically went in there and said, guys, it's not 4%. They say 0.4 tenths the speed of light. That is 41%. Right. Part of the reason I put it in there so much was because I was correcting a mistake.
Let's see. We do see Glass Beam obliterate brutes. Given this outdated armor, a modern version with shields active, being able to survive a few seconds is not out the question. The value of the beam's energy per second merely works as a hard limit for maximum durability of Spartans. So to clarify, the Halo Wars crew does not have modern armor. They have armor from like near the start of the war, technically, because I think they're 20 years after Harvest.
No, the beginning of the war. They have them during Harvest. They literally get them right after Harvest. It's from like 25 years earlier. So if you're arguing the Mark IV can tank a glassing beam with no shields, fuck. Like you basically just conceded that Doomslayer's weapons won't do anything to the Master Chief. That's not. I wouldn't use that, to be clear. I would never argue he could survive glassing.
I don't understand how we have modern Mjolnir armor, because even then, like, best case scenario for Halo Wars Spartans, they're wearing Mark 5. They're not Mark 6s.
That's not even valid. They point out directly in Halo Infinite, they're still wearing a Mark IV. They just upgraded them with technology they scavenged from the Ark. But that only happens during Halo Wars 2, not Halo Wars 1.
There's also a question of viability. There's also the question on the viability of using an RTS like Halo Wars for scaling like this. You fucking cowards.
Then why even talk about it in the first place?
As is affected by things like gameplay balance and a beam that goes around and blood. Oh, wait, hold on. Are we using the fucking Prophet's orbital beam? Hold on. No. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh. Okay. Mangler Slaughter here gives off a power scaling fan diff. It's like a shotgun versus a minigun, especially made for DPS in a gunfight.
With this on mind, we just labeled this showing as a debatable feat. Wait, why is this debatable, but this isn't? Why is this debatable, but this one isn't? They're the same problem. Actually wild how g1blog gets away with this shit.
This is worse. You may remember on the 2023 Chief Slayer blog, we had it before the verdict on whether or not the incineration cannon was capable of bypassing durability due to it firing antimatter rounds. The team on that blog determined that it could not, simply due to the fact that it never actually vaporized anything. All of the weapons victims still managed to stick around after being killed, no vaporization included. Now the team for this kind of agrees with that verdict, but not for all 4 Renatech, kind of. I want to point out they are objectively wrong in the game's systems. Whenever you kill something with a binary rifle, it always destroys it.
Well, they're talking
like
about
whenever something is
cannon.
The incineration cannon also does that. And secondly, it's not about what the gameplay shows. You notice how they do this when they're like, oh, well, we have higher end feats. We can't use them because of gameplay, but we also have hacks and weapons, but we can't use this interpretation because of gameplay. Let me make it really easy for you and just give direct statements from the lore from Halo Bad Blood. So we are told directly when this is immediately after the events of 5, when Fireteam Osiris and Blue Team are trying to get off Genesis, and they're fighting Promethean soldiers. Buck points out, because he's the main narrator, that as they're nearing the dropship, he saw bodies sprawled everywhere. Most of them were the remains of 4 soldiers, but I spotted a helmet for Marine 2. Must have had her cap knocked off before they got her, Vale said. I knew what she meant. The 4 weapons didn't kill you. Didn't just kill you, they obliterated you. It was like you simply evaporated into glowing energy crystals that faded into nothing faster than your last breath. They were absurdly powerful machines that the brains at Oni were still trying to figure out. And then all the guides just confirmed that they basically disintegrate you. So there is nothing, like canonically, there's nothing left of you when you were hit with a 4 weapon. They are absolutely lying about this, and they did not do their due diligence and research. They are cherry picking. And they just state that for 4 weapons, not the incineration cannon, which is antimatter.
Doomslayer dying in lava again? I think that's
Red Dusk.
I think that's valid now at this point.
Yeah, and to be clear, that I was able to find that in the first 10 pages of the book. The first 10 pages of the book. So... But there is a caveat here. Oh, wait, no. The binary rifle does what the incineration cannon doesn't. It actually disintegrates its targets. Fire antimatter particle beams that annihilates its enemy and bypassing shields, vaporizing them on the spot no matter where the shot is placed, and going straight through the targets. So boom, easy Duranag, going right through the shields and killing enemies instantly. But there is a caveat. The binary rifle description makes sure that it works against most infantry types, not all. This falls in line with higher tier enemies in the campaign surviving more than one shot, as well as the Didact straight up tanking it. So for context, that's that's just in the sense of like they're stating that mostly it can't fight most enemy types in the game, but there are bosses in like most of the Halo games, as well as like vehicles. Well, I guess vehicles aren't technically infantry, but a lot of infantry types also have shields. So like, even if you said it was disintegrating them, that would be referring to how the shot affects the body in general, which doesn't account for the shield. Because a shield on higher difficulties can still block a binary shot. And you would have to believe that they could, because they make the shields design. The shields are designed by the Forerunners to survive their own weapons. Also, the Didact straight up taking it. I do believe the Didact could tank it because he is considered the head of the Warrior Servants, and he has his own armor upgrades, as well as the head of the Prometheans, which is basically the elite sect of Warrior Servants. However, it is also confirmed that the Didact's armor basically converts himself to and attunes himself to enemy weapons so that he can become immune.
So what's the verdict here?
But,
it's very much hammered. Oh, you gonna finish?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was like, we should read this part before you go on, because they might mention something you were saying. Again in the game, and it does shoot antimatter beams that can negate durability, and the only enemies that usually survive a shot are Forerunners, unlike Spartans and Covenants who die in one shot. Considering the binary rifle is a Forerunner weapon and their armor stay to be attuned to their own weaponry, it's probably fair to assume that Forerunners have a slight immunity to its antimatter effects, so it's fair game to say that the weapon could bypass durability. However, this is debatable, and we technically haven't seen it kill someone who's much stronger than it. More discussion about its relevancy to this debate will be in the verdict. Okay, so
no, it is not debatable.
I'm just going to ask the honest question. Why is most mentioned here, but for Doomslayer's armor, it's all conventional? We're never talking about most for Doomslayer's armor. Curious.
Yeah, G1, why do you keep lying about things? It is not... Oh, wait, go back up to what they said up there. No. Why do you keep...
Which one?
Stay in the binary section. The binary section, obviously. This one, yes. So they say it's... Considering it's a Forerunner weapon, their armor is stated to be attuned to their own weapons. It's probably fair to say that Forerunners have slight immunity. So it's fair to see the weapon could bypass durability. This is debatable. What makes it debatable? What evidence is there to the contrary? Your visual fallacies? How many times do we have to explain this? Like, looking at a body not disappearing in the game doesn't matter. We go by lore. And what they state is that the bodies disappear.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but did they reference the Brute Chieftain's gravity well at any point during this for scaling, if we're going to be using gameplay scaling?
No, but they talked about the gravity hammer having gravity effects, so that's fair game.
So can we get some scaling on that gravity?
Also, if we're going to go with that logic, do we get to scale Master Chief to Warden Eternal's black hole that he fires? Because he does have a black hole that he can fire at you in the game, and it doesn't immediately kill you. Granted, it does drop you to your knees, but like you can still be revived. Are we going to say that's a gameplay mechanic?
Wait. You can survive a black hole. All right, scale.
It's literally a black solid energy core that's a center of mass that is stated to obliterate anything, even if you're behind cover. In the official guidebook.
Fantastic, scalable. It's got to be scalable. G1blog should accept it.
Also, if you think it's not a black hole, it's coming from the Warden Eternal, who comes from the domain. He's in a plane of existence outside of like time and space, and he has a weapon called a rift weapon that can like rip through the quantum pattern of your existence. I'm pretty sure the device, by all of its descriptions and definitions, is clearly a black hole, because he can control things beyond your conventional physics. But I'm just saying, all the Forerunner weapons are technically, they didn't mention this, but all of them are technically different types of deconstruction. All of them are fair game. There's no debatable argument. There's no evidence in the lore that says otherwise, and every single time the UNSC talks about them, they're like, yeah, these weapons will kill us in one shot. It's not debatable.
So there's no genuine debatable argument, just
There's no,
fallacious arguments.
there's just fallacious ones, but there's always fallacious ones in regards to everything. You can always have a liar. Anyone can lie about anything.
So one of Halo's biggest feats revolve around the Didact, his ability to just float comfortably within a composer beam, which has millions of people.
Oh my god!
It is debatable in and of itself whether or not this should qualify as sort of hacks, given the composer's ability to selectively target a number of people while keeping the environment unscathed. More so, this is due to the composer being designed to only target sentient life forms. Is the composer not sentient? The composer uses high levels of energy to digitize its victims, visually incinerating the target's body. If we treat this as
Okay, so hang on a minute. Remember what they said there. It is debatable in and of itself whether or not this should qualify as a sort of hacks, given the composer's ability to selectively target a number of people while keeping the environment unscathed. My guy, if I have a weapon that is designed to target a group of people and digitize them, I'm sorry, that is a hacks ability. It doesn't matter if all haxes still have a set amount of energy. It doesn't make them not a hacks. You have to prove you can resist being digitized. Also, this is not like one of the most impressive feats in Halo. Not even close. No one uses this. But go ahead. Keep going.
All right. Let's see here. If we treat this as a vaporization feat, then accounting for human vaporization values in the canonical number of affected individuals, 7 million people, you get around 510 kilotons of TNT. There's also a higher end, as there's evidence people are composed down to the atomic level. An escalation epitaph, Didact was ripped apart atomically by 6 composers, bumping into the value of 7.512 megatons of TNT. Now, this calc doesn't have much of an issue on its own, and we know the energy within composers can be released violently as a standard explosion, which gives leeway to the argument that it's more about the technology and the composers themselves that digitize people rather than the composer being naturally digitizing people. And Halo Epitaph is noted the release of all this energy overcame Didact's resistance to the composer. It's like this resistance is tied to durability, given the resistance in question can be overcome via more energy. But that feat in itself brings up another point. If the Didact can practically swim in one composer and detonation of 5 or 6...
Hang on. So as far as the deconstruction thing, they say he was destroyed on the atomic level. That's not true. He was completely eradicated. So if you're sent to the domain... To be clear, G1, I can tell you didn't read Epitaph or any of the original Forward or Trilogy of books because you don't know what an essence is. So if someone is turned into an essence, there isn't anything left of their body at all, like even atoms or particles, because the process digitizes their very consciousness and turns it into a quantum pattern, what they refer to in Halo as a soul. You are basically being converted into a quantum construct of data that is then sent to the Halo afterlife, also known as the domain. So you would actually have to calculate the amount of force needed to do that to all the people in that city, not atomization. Just to be clear about that. Along with the amount of energy that it would take to recreate them as well. Because the composer's doing both of those things. But continue, Zim.
All right. Wow, lame. Well, no, not really. For one, explosion kills Didact till he vapors him. Even 5-6 increase in durability would explain how he's essentially in harm, standing in one of the very long amounts of time. But if you'll notice, the situation isn't that the Didact has to deal 5 or 6 more composer beams. He's dealing with the sudden explosion release of the 5 or 6 whole composers at once. Essentially, the difference between taking a jolt from a car battery versus a box of car batteries all exploding at once. The Didact has essentially never had to withstand more than a single portion of the composer's power at any given time, so it stands to reason the full release of multiple at a time totally overwhelms him. So sadly, this feat can't be used to backscale one composer beam. At best, the value above would be the maximum he can scale to. Another minor point of contention.
I was going to say nobody uses this, and also it's stated by not just it's stated in Epitaph, the very novel that you read, that the Didact has immunity to the composer. So while it probably has some level of energy output, it's never stated what the energy output is. You're just assuming that, whereas it is deductively, as in it is factually confirmed that he has immunity to the composer, meaning it is being treated as an ability, a hacks, through technology. It's just that, as he points out, while I could survive maybe like 1 or 2, 6 of them being fired at once was too much.
All right. What appears to be a large explosion visible from space is seen when it connects to the Earth, or with the Earth. The blast appears to be very large, so you may wonder why it hasn't been addressed for scaling. This is because the blast is more likely just not applicable due to the actual mechanics of the composer. The composer targets biological matter only, and only complex, intelligent biological beings at that. This is most evident when seeing images of the aftermath of the composer's firing on the city. Not only is all of the infrastructure still entirely intact, trees can be seen in the images, meaning that despite the blast's massive size, it caused next to nothing damage, as distance is consequential for scaling. You must be aware of another calc that values the reach of the megatons of TNT range, but the issue with that is simply the number of people used. Again, we have canonically 7 million people, while the calc uses an assumed number to affect individuals based on IRL population density. While normally that would be well and good, it just kind of conflicts with the canon number. Oh, that's rich. Yes, it's stupidly low for what it should be given the affected area we see in the cutscene, though it's much smaller in the comic, but again, it just goes against canon. Oh, that's wonderful. Didact fraud check. Many of Halo's seemingly most impressive showings and statements belong to the Didact. Is this an actual video, or are they just fucking around? They're just fucking around. Can be achieved through him. However, upon further examination, it becomes that Didact is not as powerful as he may seem. Upon further examination, not as powerful as
let's see if you can refute the Didact. Let's go ahead. What straw man argument we got this time? I'm ready.
Didact was saying split space. 11D Didact is absolutely massive high end that is often brought up as a way for Chief to win, often albeit ironically. Listen, I don't want to hear discussions about characters being weaker upon closer examination when you're repping fucking Doomslayer. It has the bones of an actual feat. Slip space being 11th dimensional is absolutely the case, with Halsey's journal confirming these mathematical dimensions, that being slip space is inherently destructive. This does not mean it holds up with further scrutiny. The biggest flaw is that these notes take place 20 years before the events of Halo 4, long before Didact survived being launched into subspace. There is research in technology capable of surviving subspace, and Forerunners are so advanced it is not realistic to assume they already had it. Didact could also be capable of slipping through subspace like ships are. Not much later, ships slip through subspace with shields. Not much later in Halsey's journal is even written that Mjolnir Mark 7?
Mark 7 Mjolnir armor has slip space capabilities. This also just has pretty big narrative issues. The Didact himself said he would be killed by the Halo Ray, which are galaxy destroying weapons, certainly not 11D. All right, so I've got a huge amount of problems here. First of all, they conceded their position. They literally stated that slip space being 11D is absolutely valid. If you go up there, don't scroll down just yet. Slip space being 11th dimensional is absolutely the case, with Halsey Journal confirming these are mathematical dimensions and being slip space is inherently destructive. Yes, they confirmed that any matter or anything that touches slip space will be destroyed automatically. Concession accepted. It doesn't matter if I'm using a piece of technology at that point to keep me safe from slip space. That means an 11th dimensional space, which you believe is higher dimensional off of a statement about its numbers alone. That is what you believe and what you claim. The Didact should not be hurt by anything below the 11th dimension. That's it. We don't have to have a further discussion because you conceded that. That's not how our higher dimensional standards work, because we actually have to have evidence for the space. But like none of this crap about Halsey's statement about this being 20 years before matters. Unless you're willing to reevaluate your entire positions on higher dimensionality. Also, saying that it's not unrealistic to think that Forwarders are so advanced, they already had it. You have to actually prove that. You can prove that based on the technology from humans, reverse engineering from Forwarder tech, but that's a deduction. You're assuming. You don't actually have evidence for that. I'm not saying your position is technically incorrect. I'm saying that you are ass-pulling your explanation, which is not acceptable. Also, as far as the narrative issue of the Didact saying he would be killed by the Halo Ray, the Halo Ray is not a galaxy-destroying weapon. The Halo Ray has a range of a galaxy. It is a hack-spaced weapon that targets neutrinians. It targets the very neurological connection to sentient life through neurophysics, which is the connection of consciousness that exists in the universe. It's literally designed to destroy things at like the subatomic level that connect to any sentient form of life. This is why the Halo rings don't destroy physical structures or non-sentient like organic life. But they're also capable of wiping out the structures in the domain, because it is confirmed in Epitaph that the Halo Ring firing didn't just hit the galaxy, it hit the entire domain and burned most of its archives. The reason why the Didact is in the outer boundary in Epitaph is because the domain was basically scarred from the firing of the rings. So even if he were to be killed by the Halo Array, that's not an anti-feat, because he was killed by an area that's way beyond slip space. The domain is directly stated to transcend like all space and time. It's beyond slip space. It's way beyond that. And it's also a hacks ability. Like the Halo Array is a hacks ability. Getting killed by that is not a sufficient anti-feat. Anyway, you can continue. Actually, it's not even really an anti-feat at all.
Didact is composed when a chunk of the Halo Ring goes kaboom. In Halo escalation, moment occurs at first glance appears to be a very good feat. That being when he was on a chunk of a Halo Ring that hit a planet. While the numerical output of this moment gets absurdly high, it cannot be applied to the Didact. He never actually endures the enormous force the impact creates, as he was killed by the 5-6 composers, releasing all their energy as they were destroyed when the chunk of the ring came down. Even then, we have direct evidence it cannot scale to Chief, as it would have killed him had he not teleported away. Hey, you guys remember how you guys gave fucking Doom Guy meteor scaling?
So again, while people do claim the slip space one, that's the only one they brought up this far that people have claimed. These are all straw man arguments. No Halo scaler makes these positions.
Didact subs in for planet crushing weaponry.
No reputable anyway.
The issues with these statements are very clear. Raya has no direct interaction with the Didact. She hasn't met him. She has no authority to make a judgment call on this. She just learned he existed a few chapters earlier. It's also fairly clear she's specifically comparing him to planet crushing weaponry on the basis of how many people he can kill, not his power.
That's not a valid basis to be made, and arguing that they haven't met them is irrelevant. Most of the forwarders make their data-based calculations based on the information that they have from not just their records, but also the domain. They don't have to meet someone for their claims to be reliable. And secondly, while there's a better argument you could make for it, that's just so disingenuous. Like, who's making these claims? Who's using Raya to argue that Didact is planetary?
The War Sphinx very clearly have the insane level of power to flip a continent. This feat doesn't have any issues. It's quite blatant. The problem is the lack of legitimate way to scale the Didact to them. It is clear that the intention of the Seekers was not to kill him, just capture.
I mean, that's fine, but again, like, who's arguing the Didact scales to a War Sphinx?
All right. Marauder scaling. Most light-based weapons or attacks in any Doom game are sadly one frame, thus making it impossible to calculate any tandem movement with them. The Unmaker fires lasers in one frame, and the one Doom Eternal is a different weapon that uses RG energy. As with the Icon of Siren, the Spider masterminds lasers. Even the Maker's light incantation suffers from this. This, however, a saving grace. There is, however, a saving grace to Marauders, an enemy designed to initially be comparable to the Slayer. With that comes a Marauder mechanically reacting to every single weapon, and the Slayer fires the moment. This includes a microwave beam, which fires at the speed of light. The Marauder brings up the shield after the beam fires. It is a hit scan reaction, but it's not intended to be aim dodgy in the slightest. The Marauder moves his arm, gets 0.02 C or sub-relativistic. What? Hang on.
It's never stated the microwave beam fires at the speed of light. That's just an assumption.
Right, I'm actually tripping out here for a minute. So you're telling me that in order to stop the microwave beam from, let's say it shoots at the speed of light, they're this close to each other, you only have to move less than 2% the speed of light to block it? That doesn't sound right.
Hey, Zim, you know how fast those beam rifles are? You know how fast a particle beam is? Would you like to look it up really quickly? Just like, how fast is a particle beam?
Moves at close to the speed of light, Mingler.
Yeah, they specifically tell you when you look up information about it that it's at least 10% the speed of light. It's a relativistic projectile.
Oh, okay. So they're just using an actual microwave calculation for the speed of light.
There's other sites I use. I didn't use that one, but yeah, in general, that would be higher than this. And that one doesn't have a statement of moving at that speed. They tell you how the beam rifles in Halo work. They tell you how, in the descriptions, how it acts. It uses a hydrogen atom that's accelerated through a motion particle accelerator to condense it into a beam of energy that fires at that fires as a beam of light. Well, all of that, and I only get 10% the speed of light. Microwave beam, which has no statement of the speed of light, moves the speed of light. Incredible. Anyway,
Okay.
continue.
So they have the Crucible, but I read through it. They give a better feat where the Crucible.
Yeah, we've seen most of this. I don't think they even believe this. They're just going over things that they consider to be wrong, which some of these I think are fair game, but it's just like, okay, so like, I think for the Doom sections, some of these claims are made. It's really just the Angel frauds and the Doom sustaining feats that are the main contentions, because a lot of people just argue they can move cross creation.
That the Winged Seraphs winged the cross creation. This is viewed as evidence for infinite speed from the makers due to the size of the multiverse in Doom. The blatant issue here is that the Book of Seraphs does not specify how much of the creation was traversed. Makers in combat supposed to use teleportation or portals to travel or communication across realms. Even their statement being able to move through time and space is different context than referring to speed. Urdak has teleporter rings that allow the makers to reach any dimension in the multiverse. This effectively makes Urdak an interdimensional highway. Makers also had their wings stripped by Davlot or the Father in the past. Con Maker has wings, but her fly is simply moving a few meters in combat. There's no evidence that the makers have infinite speed. All right. Doom has 2 important sustaining feats we're discussing, and that Slayer scales to. The Icon of Sin. No. The Icon of Sin. The Icon of Sin seemingly creates a storm over Earth when it arrives there. The main evidence for a storm being legitimate is that Prior and Urdak seemingly creates a storm upon being revived. Urdak has a clear sky when the Slayer first arrives, and upon the Icon awakening, a storm is seen over Urdak. This storm has green lightning, which is the same as a storm on Earth. Icon likely made it via Hell Essence or Argent Energy, which likely will backscale to its physicals since it's his energy system. I would like to point out that the Icon doesn't seem to actually have control over what it creates, just passive.
Wait. Did they say that the green store has green lighting, which is the same as the storm, likely making it Hell Essence or Argent Energy, which would likely backscale to its physicals since it's its energy system? That is objectively untrue, because that's not how Argent Energy works, or any energy system in Doom, for that matter. But continue.
Icon also likely did not make the storm via its reality warping, as that takes time to affect the planet, and storm over Urdak made night instantaneously. And lastly, a storm occurring through the Icon Slayer's battle comes to a stop after the Icon's defeat. Yeah, the Icon sustains it, but that's more of like a passive thing the Icon doesn't existing. Because the Icon doesn't destroy universes naturally. Its own passive existence collapses dimensions.
It's an attribute of its existing state that causes it to warp reality.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if that's valid for scaling. The process of creating demons and extracting souls to create hell since not explicitly link victims to hell itself. In descriptions, people transfer into demons, a process that can occur outside of hell. Hell state influence transformation as a form of corruption. But nothing that overly links the existence of hell. Lo and behold, we discover eternal that this link comes from the form of Davot himself. The demon of hell acts an extension of his will. As per Hugo Martin, we see all dimensions outside of hell literally turn to ash upon Dark Lord's death. Hell's corruptive properties all begin with Davot transforming Jekyll and Dark One we know, though this was over time, so it stands that all corrupted by him are sustained by him as well. Aren't demons still alive after he dies?
Yes, it's just any of the ones outside of hell die, because a law that governs Jekka is that if anyone defeats the Dark Lord in ritual combat directly, all demons outside of hell will be destroyed. They actually tell you this like 3 or 4 times directly in cutscene.
Wow, so this just ain't even valid.
No, it's...
This is released on destroyed floating the Tom Maker, unaffected upon destruction. There is no statement at all that the similar event would happen to the distance of Urdok or anything there. So how would it go about one calculating such a feat? Alright, well this isn't valid, so we'll just move on. Oh, it's important to note that while Davos might have connection to all demons, only demons outside of hell vanish when he dies, thus the calculation cannot be any higher. But it's... By Hell's law, the Dark Lord's feat, which will combat a demon outside his realm will be destroyed. Okay, yeah, no. Yeah, alright, so this just isn't valid. That's wild. Okay, so Doom.
Notice how this is treated. That instead of just saying it's not valid by their own admission, they ask the question: "Is it valid?" And then let's proposit the idea of it either being valid by view one, view one is cosmic scaling is not valid. View two is that cosmic scaling is valid. I have never seen this done.
No, bring the creator of the whole multiverse. I'm trying to see if there's anything worth actually mentioning here, because it's either you accept Cosmic Doom or you don't.
No, this is just them addressing misconceptions regarding the systems.
Do we care about this or no? Because I'm assuming.
I don't consider the scaling valid, and we've directly addressed why it isn't. So let's go to the view 2 of why it isn't.
Because his scaling is valid. While Davos making dimensions via power is questionable, his creation of Jekka should not be. Jekka was made before Urdak was. The engines of creation, the workshop, used to create all the universe specifically only associated with Urdak, and likely only came into being around the time that realm was made. Likewise, the makers or states have been forged from the void, which the engines of creation used to create other realities. This all insinuates that Jekka was made via a different process. Davos is stated to be the creator of primal realm of Jekka, Amora's existence since the dawn of creation.
Okay, so let me pause right there. So they seem to misunderstand something, that all of the statements regarding the Father and the Seraphs are just applicable to Devoth. So while they state they're created by Devoth's hand, that's because we realize at the end of the series that when you're fighting Devoth, that the makers of the Seraphs and Father, they lied to you, that Devoth is the original creator. That just means that all the statements that you apply about Urdak, you apply them to Jekka instead. And the engines of creation. So when they say that it was likely made, that's an assumption. If Urdak was stated to be made with the engines of creation and confirmed, then we would assert that Jekka was. Because the only part of history that was fabricated was specifically which realm came first and who was doing the creating, not the actual feat itself. That was not fabricated, and there was no evidence that it has been presented to be fabricated. All they did was change who did the thing because they wanted Father to be the figurehead for their society.
Also, the Slayer wouldn't directly scale to it since he kills him with weapons while Davot doesn't have his full power and is in a mech suit.
And also, Devoth didn't create those things with his own power anyway. He created them with the engines of the Void. Like, the Void in Doom literally has properties that can create universes. That's how the creation feats are done. He doesn't use it by snapping his fingers or something, or like, you know, spitting out a universe out of his body. That's not how that works. So...
All right.
We can continue with the second paragraph.
Entry 11 in the Book of Seraphs mentions that demons outside of hell will die if Davos perishes because of their bindings to hell created by Primeval, that being Davos himself. These bindings being created via scientific process would be lore-breaking. Davos wanted to cure death for all his subjects. It would make no sense to make a kill switch for all his subjects. Likewise, under the premise that he created everything scientifically, his death does not undo the existence of the makers, who he forged from the void. His connection to the demons is tied to him being a Primeval, and their power comes from their life core / essence. The creation, well, technically no, it says one of the laws, but whatever. The creation process for Jekka likely used Davot's essence, which is an energy system in Doom. Samir gains a degree of authority over Urdak after absorbing the energy to the Father's life core, which Father attributes to his essence, while the Book of the Seraphs is a propaganda piece. A lot of stuff in it is still technically true, like, for example, violence cannot be undone inside the Lumineer, as shown in Ancient Gods Part 2. As such, Davos making Jekka should be fine, and Slayer directly scales to it. Quake, Canicity, and Cosmology.
No, it should not, for the reasons I just explained. Because the only parts that are fabricated is specifically who's doing the feats and in what realm it happens. You would just assume, like, none of the realms are confirmed to be made through anything other than the engines of creation. That's complete headcanon.
Okay, so the developers directly said it's not sure, like, they have to confirm it canon. So I'm just gonna ignore this part because this shouldn't be up for discussion. Extra lives and fate hacks. You may have heard the Slayer having extra lives. Not only is this game mechanics based out on the phrasing, I don't want to hear this from you fuckers. It also can help that isn't really backed up by anything in canon. Doom that remotely supported being canon outside of a singular thing in the Doom manual. That if you read it a certain way, you may be interpreted as Doomslayer having revives. If you die, you restart the level at the beginning with a pistol and some bullets. You have no lives limit. You can keep restarting from the level as often as you're killed. The entire levels are started from scratch too. The monsters you killed are back again, just like you.
Okay, I think that's a little silly to say. Doomslayer scalers are kind of dumb, but like I don't even think they're using that one. I've never heard of a scaler using that argument.
As supposed fate hacks by some sites is covered in the anomaly section in Doomslayer's abilities. Doomslayer having the ability to manipulate fate items, spawn areas. He goes through the Vagus portals, not some weird hacks. A causality from killing Commander Keen. No, Lamau, Keen being in Doom 2 is an Easter egg.
Okay, so if they accept that as an Easter egg, then why are they even using Doom 3?
Verdict. A stats breakdown. Sorry, Master Chief and Doomslayer speeds. Okay, so Master Chief goes at 112 miles per hour. Doomslayer goes 90 miles per hour in Classic and 117 for 30 seconds. Should we know Doom Guy outrunning his rockets not applicable for travel speed, as this is an abuse of wall running? You know what? Thank you, G1blog. I will give you props for acknowledging that the rocket feat is not valid. Thank you, G1blog. That's probably the best thing you've done in this blog. So all in all, Doomslayer takes advantage over Master Chief in travel speed on foot, base to base versus top speed. The Slayer takes definitive edge. It can totally keep up with the 15 seconds. Chief's haste runs out, and the speed gap between 117 versus 9 miles per hour. Hang on, do we care about speed gaps now? Because, like, I'm pretty sure you guys are in Death Battles camp where speed gaps don't matter that much.
So, first of all, I would like to point out that their logic is that in speed, they're like comparable for 15 seconds, and that requires Doomslayer to have a power-up. Whereas, like, for the Master Chief, you could just get him there with sprint and his normal speeds.
Albeit, if we take advantage of his thruster pack, which allows the Master Chief to catch up to ship moving at 9% speed of light, meaning that while Doomslayer takes advantage in travel speed while both are on foot, Master Chief's thruster pack will allow him to outpace Doomslayer's travel speed by about 531,000 times over. Not to discredit Doomslayer's advantages when both are on foot, though, as the speed is only relevant when Chief pulls out his thruster pack, though it's only in the category of on foot, and it can be said that Slayer matches and takes advantage of Chief when it comes to speed, because moving into reactions and combat speed tell a whole different story. To put it bluntly,
I completely disagree with that logic. I don't think they provided enough evidence to prove he moves at 90 miles an hour.
To put it bluntly, Chief has an abundance of laser dodging and wider cast of characters he can scale relativistic to light speed from. As mentioned before, Chief's reactions can be measured at 0.09 based on his thruster pack catching up to Covenant ship and being able to react to things while moving at that speed. And the Arbiter moving in tandem with the Spartan laser at 0.31 C supports this. Meanwhile, most of Slayer's reactions cap out a single double-digit Mach ranges, and his best skills with the Marauder being able to deflect microwave beams from the Slayer's plasma gun, which comes out to 0.02 C, leaving the Spartan over 15 times faster than the Doomslayer in reaction speed. So yeah, quite the big gap as well. Overrides Slayer's slight travel speed advantage, especially when considering Master Chief's thrusters to negate Slayer's own travel speed. Speed goes to Master Chief. All right.
You're kind of cutting out a little bit.
Hang on. Let me. Well, you leave and rejoin because I think I'm good on my end.
Okay, hang on. Yeah, so I was going to say that if you believe there's a 15 times speed increase, it would actually be much higher than that with the Onyx Sentinels and his feats in Palace Whiskey Hotel. If all of the particle beams are being defaulted at 10%, dodging any beam rifle or reacting to it at all would be like 30 or 40% the speed of light, even casually. They have way better feats than that. So it's much higher than a 15% increase, and that's if we're allowing the microwave beam, which is extremely generous. At that range, even if I'm moving 2 or 3 times the speed of light and you're moving 1 times the speed of light, you're basically a statue because of the sheer amount of miles per hour we're traveling. If I'm moving 15 to 20 times faster than you, you are never going to hit me. If we're already traveling like a decent portion of the speed of light. Just to point that out. You have anything you want to say, Zim? Or we can continue?
No, we can continue. Sorry, I was just reading something because I guess something happened today. So Chief has virtually fought every major faction enemy in the Halo franchise and typically has been able to hold his ground or get a lick or two in at the worst, surviving practically everything gets thrown at him. Spartans in general can survive double-digit kill, 10 yield attacks. We already mentioned why this is wrong from the raids, which are also consistent, such as enemy units from the banish, surviving Mac Cannon, fires at similar yields. But Chief's big feats really come from 2 things, scaling from the die deck and Spartan surviving glassing beams. Now, while the former seems weird on paper, Master Chief does not only consistently survives encounters with the Didac, but has staggered and harmed him at one point, even stabbing him in the eye. But a more clear-cut example would be how the Didac could be harmed and knocked out by a monitor's laser beam, something that Chief himself was able to capable of withstanding several shots. Okay. This would scale Chief's...
That's the most valid forwarder scaling that provided this entire blog. They've been doing nothing but yapping.
All right, 5 kilotons, 7.5 megatons TNT. More drastically, though, we have Spartan surviving brief exposure to Covenant glassine, which comes at a whopping 45 megatons TNT. Granted, it's dependent on the size of these beams, as at times they've been utterly gigantic compared to Spartans, and he's much more capable of punching out. And they were already gigantic compared to Spartans, much smaller ones, but this still serves as a solid high-end cap, outchase durability and powers. He's more capable of punching out the other Spartans. The Slayer, meanwhile, is much simpler to cover. Don't noticeable disagreement on the validity of the cosmic feats. He repeatedly takes double-digit kilotons to double-digit megatons worth of energy from Argent caches and Argent accumulator and Vega's operating systems. He's beaten well practically every type of demon we know about, as well as top dogs of hell like the Icom Sin and Dabot. The Icom Sin's thrashing of hell, his ability to generate massive weather disruptions, 5.8 gigatons. The battle between Father and Dabot meanwhile shook at least Imora, which comes out 5 megatons of TNT. And Dabot passively staying all demons beyond hell reaches. Wait. Oh, right. They have mag cannons done dirty. So now, depending on the volume you buy for Hell's Armies. That's the same scale, but whatever.
I would not use a sustaining feat for that position because you can't even prove that amount of energy is being used. That's an assumption.
Okay,
but go ahead.
We're not going to go over the cosmic feats, because if you go over cosmic, then Slayer just has massive advantages. Looking at the numbers, comparing Slayer's non-cosmic feats to Doom and Chief's own numbers, the stat comparison comes out to Chief being 45 megatons of TNT versus Doomslayer being 69 gigatons of TNT. This leads to Slayer being 1.5 thousand times stronger when using feats that lack an asterisk applied to them, be it through cross-scaling. You can debate the canonicity of cosmic feats that are similarly debatable, albeit for the overall validity in this case. But quick scaling or not, buying into Davol's higher end levels of power, arguing against it, Doomslayer reliably takes raw power to a significant degree. So I'm gonna say, based on their calculations, while I don't agree with like the sustaining, if this is their best one, the other ones should be fine. And I think even if you give Chief the proper scaling knowledge of the materials being different and everything, I feel like Doomslayer probably still edges out this category regardless.
He does not technically, because you cannot actually reliably argue Devoth having a sustaining feat, whereas you can consistently prove, at least with the Havoc nukes and Hardlight shields, you can prove in some contexts that the Master Chief's shielding AP is higher. However, that is a little bit more situational, I will grant that, but even without that, consistently his armor would be in like the kiloton ranges. You cannot even prove, based on the energy outputs that they provided, or how they provided the armor using that energy, or the energy system, you cannot prove the Slayer scales to that. You just can't. I don't think that's reliable. I completely disagree with that.
All right. Okay, so I'm going through the weapons here a little bit because this is our longest section, but I'll get to the important ones. Quantity versus quality. Apparently, Doomslayer's weapons have more quality than Master Chief's. We're also giving him power-ups that he can't activate without finding them. As mentioned...
Also, they say outright invulnerability. They lied about that. Invulnerability is actually just stated to be like an extra skin put on like the dermis of the armor. I think we went over this directly on stream, but it's not real. It's not real invulnerability. It's fraudulent invulnerability. So yeah, let's simmer down, G1. Know your place.
Okay, for starters, it's not a gun Chief would pull out right off the bat. Fuck you guys. How the fuck do you guys give items and then fucking argue Chief wouldn't immediately swap to his most powerful weapon when his weapons aren't working?
Also, Cortana invalidates that argument, because Cortana, by your own admissions, would be moving so fast that Doomslayer would be traveling. He would just be a statue. She would have an enormous amount of time to analyze his armor and determine what weapons Chief needs. And she would just tell Chief, like, hey, use a plasma weapon or a Forerunner weapon.
That eventually Cortana and the weapon would suggest that he try and end the fight with the rifle, but by that point it might be too late for John. Okay, to clarify here for a second. You guys claim that Master Chief is moving like at 31C versus Doomguy's 0.2. At what point does Doomguy ever hit Chief?
So to be clear, they've gone and used sources from the Kilo 5 trilogy. That means they read the Kilo 5 trilogy. They know about Black Box's feats. Black Box verbatim states that in the time it takes for a human heartbeat to beat once, it has been an eternity for him. It's been like ages for him. There's not going to be any like late suggestions. Everyone is going to be moving, like from her perception, they're going to be statues. They won't even be moving. She'll have enough time to analyze anything she needs to analyze. And be like, oh, well, that armor is obviously very durable.
Okay, hang on.
Based on a scan I just did out of it like 20 different times in 1 second.
Should Chief land the shot all, the saving throw would kick in to save Slayer, slowing things down to allow Slayer to make his own killing move?
Prove how much the slowing time would affect him from an actual mathematical perspective. By your own statements, they can react in nanoseconds. They can do trillions of operations in a second. I have a statement that from one of the, I think it's like Halo Genesis. It's the Halo Wars comic. That Serena, when she's going into slip space, she can perform a quantum calculation of the slip space field 4.3 quadrillion times a second for the entire trip. In what universe is a time slow gonna matter when I'm moving that much faster than the speed of light?
Also, even if he has time slow, yeah, you guys have to provide a calc to explain that the time slow would make up the difference in speed. Because again, the time slow would be based on who he's fighting in terms of calculation.
It'd also be based on his senses. Like, time is slowing down from his perspective, but how fast is the Slayer moving? Like, if he's only moving... If he's moving less than 10% the speed of light, let's say it slows them down thousands of times. Okay, if I'm moving, like, multiple times the speed of light, I'm still basically going to be moving relative to him, even from his perception.
As for a
and if also... I was going to say, if they're reacting in nanoseconds, as they stated they are, that would literally make them hundreds to thousands of times faster than them. So you have to prove the time slow is faster than that difference. And plus all the other things I mentioned.
And despite Master Chief's defensive options, they wouldn't reliably be able to keep the Slayer at bay for Chief to land 2 shots at. You understand, again, like, even by your guys' own numbers, Chief's not going to be struggling to land shots against a guy that much slower than him.
His Artemis systems and his Mjolnir computer give him aimbot. What? How is he going to struggle to hit this man? What's going to be in his way? Actually, you know what? If I really want to just be a dick, I could just say the light rifle by its direct guidebooks just moves at the speed of light. And I can prove he can't even dodge something moving at the speed of light. So your only argument would just be that saving throw would allow him to slow down time after his armor has been depleted. At that point, he's one hit from death.
Wait. Hold on. Can you fire... Wait. So, if the bolt goes at light speed, hits Slayer, what's stopping Chief from firing a second shot? Actually, here's the great thing. You know how many shots the light rifle fires? You know how much ammunition it consumes per shot? 3. It's technically 3 rounds in 1. So if I shoot you... I'm hitting you 3 times in a single instant at the speed of light. Yeah, I'm conscious now.
So, like, what's Slayer gonna do?
Wild.
Version Vega versus Giga Chad Cortana, honestly.
Stealth with active camo isn't the perfect option here, given that Slayer has fought invisible enemies before, like the Spectres, so invisibility in gameplay is actually pretty similar to what we see in the Halo games. Okay, what about the lore?
Oh, man, you're cutting out a lot. I think it really is you, honestly.
Right. Hang on.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
I was supposed to have used the restroom hours ago. That's fine. We're almost done.
I'm sorry. We're getting close.
That's on me. I should have clarified like what it was going to be. But all right, so
stealth with active camo isn't a perfect option because he's fought invisible enemies like the Spectres, whose invisibility in gameplay works pretty similar to what was seen in the Halo games. Completely wrong. They're lying about that. So they tell you in the guides and in the games that the Spectre is just using what is stated to be in the game partial invisibility. It is specifically a shimmer that you can see. And secondly, as far as the technology behind what makes it shimmer, we are never told what allows them to do this. It's just treated as camouflage. Whereas the active camo in Halo does not actually shimmer consistently. Not the standard active camo units, only poor active camouflage does this. The active camouflage you'd be giving Chief is like modern active camouflage units, which they state in the guides that you used have virtually, quote, unlimited duration. and they don't shimmer. Additionally, the way they make you invisible is by bending light around the user. They're not a camouflage skin system that blends in with the environment and makes you partially shimmerly invisible. So he's never actually going to see the Master Chief. That's completely wrong. So that's a win con, by the way. Just want to point that out. Go ahead.
To be abundantly clear, for Chief to win with the binary rifle, he's going to have to play picture-perfect Toho and somehow dodge every bit of Doomslayer's onslaught of gunfire, homing attacks, giant, fuck off, BF. Yeah, that's not a problem. And then shot the sniper twice against the guy who's fighting style means he's going to be immediately try to get up close and rip and tear him a new one while he has an advantage in travel speed on foot. Yeah, but not combat speed. So, like, okay, Doomslayer closes the gap, Chief shoots him directly, let's say the time slow thing goes off, which is his only chance to win. If Chief's moving away at the same time the time slow goes off, if Doomslayer doesn't reach him, he's dead. And that's assuming Chief doesn't use his speed advantage and shoot him before he even gets close.
What about the luck? Have we not mentioned Master Chief's bullshit luck? Like, what are the statistical probable chances he's even going to get close to him? What about the fact that you mentioned the thruster pack that he would have on him? He's like, oh, he would have to equip that. It's like, okay, so he just wouldn't conveniently have all of his win cons available for some reason.
But it's okay because Doomslayer gets his power ups.
Yep, Doomslayer would have invulnerability and haste on from the beginning of the fight, but Master Chief would not have thruster pack or any forerunner weapon.
Should be told
or any covenant weapon.
Wait. I actually have a funnier scenario. What does Doom Guy do against armor lock when Chief just armor locks down during the time stop?
Wait. I gotta wait. He's like standing outside the elevator, just like waiting for it to open.
Nice time stop, idiot. Now check this out.
Oh god.
The dual threat iconic swords, the Crucible is not only more powerful than the Energy Sword, but Slayer is also far more skilled and has actually trained with his blade in comparison to Chief, which experienced Energy Sword just lunging foes at kill him. Wow, we're really gonna talk shit about the elites? Wow.
Also, what's your evidence for being far more powerful than the Energy Sword? The Energy Sword is stated to be superheated plasma from plasma that I would point out again is created from thermonuclear reactions, which are way beyond the temperature of the 2 megakelvin you incorrectly fabricated as a source. So that energy shield, that energy sword is going to stab right through him in one hit. It doesn't have to be as powerful because its heat is so hot, it would just melt through the armor. I don't have to prove it has more power. I just have to prove it has a higher heat index.
So let me get this straight. We're giving Doom Guy the Arsenal win here because we're giving him power-ups that he wouldn't normally have access to in a fight. Understood? The answer is Captain
When every other
Arsenal. Well, no, they gave it to Doom Guy. So Doom Guy won Arsenal and power.
Arsenal is completely contentious. Actually, no, not contentious. It's easily in Master Chief's favor.
Okay, AI is a tie?
No, I want to read through this. I want to refute this. This is so stupid.
All right. Now, this section is somewhat tricky. As if we're going by technicality, we need to discuss 3 different supports: Base Cortana, the weapon for Chief, and Vega, and the Father for the Slayer. Does the Father even help Doom Guy that much? Like even in like Fallen Gods? Like, is this even like a fair team up situation? No, I didn't think so.
Also, they state that an AI stated her equal is performing 5,060,000,000 operations in her own 11D computing feat. Though for combat purposes, she's only roughly relativistic to light speed reactions. That's not really true because even if so the problem is that an AI is still moving faster than the speed of light, but they're still attached to a person that is moving a given speed. Like Master Chief himself is probably not moving that much faster than the speed of light. However, like it doesn't matter that she's moving thousands or millions of times, because I believe she's insanely faster than the speed of light based on the information she can process. However, it doesn't matter because Master Chief's body still has a physical limit to how quick it can move. That's not an argument for combat purposes of how quickly she'd be doing something, because she'd be informing him the earliest possible instant. And as you've demonstrated, Master Chief is 15 times faster than the Doomslayer. So she's got plenty of time.
That comes processing on speeds, yeah. Okay. Even as the father who at best scales Davod, Shard able to simulate infinite possibilities, Vega comes short against that. She's also demonstrated more feats of hacking into other systems versus Vega, who's unable to be hacked by the con maker, still couldn't defend against her hacking of the Fortress of Doom and overlaid systems. She really shut off its systems and forced transmission through before Vega regained control. The weapon, meanwhile, is an identical copy of Cortana's intended to be both Chief and Halsey. Wait, so how is this tied if everything is just literally just saying Cortana is fucking better? Can't you train advantage?
This all gives Cortana the weapon advantages, having far more environmental control depending on the backdrop of fight, giving Chief a terrain advantage in certain scenarios that will allow him to put up a better defense, like we see with Bubble Shield. Halo 4, she'd be able to straight up hack the Slayer's armor if she made sufficient contact with him, similar to how the Halo AIs did with other Mjolnir armors, but this would make things like Slayer's visor useless, removing display and functions on his status and environment, on top of cutting off communication with Vega as well as his shoulder cannon entirely. But that's where Cortana and the weapons advantages end, and the Vegas and Fathers begin. For one, Vega possesses far greater range in his connection to the Slayer. The Cortana with the Chief and the weapon does bullshit, and I'll prove why later. The Fortress of Doom seemingly is able to connect to the Slayer across the Earth and even all the way to Mars without any issues. Heck, even traveling across Hell and Urdak doesn't hinder clear connections and comms between Vega and the Slayer, making it even less complex. UAC technology is capable of this. Of course, this isn't limited to comms, but also his portal creation. Upon being loaded into Urdak and regaining his memories as the Father, he now possesses control over almost all of Urdak's systems, including a more direct teleport method. Moreover, Father couldn't just possibly be hacked, even if we treated it similar to Devoth and being able to exist just as an essence. The communication across dimensions given Devoth, with no connection to Urdak or its systems, could just sense the Father's presence and hear him speak, or how he could be heard despite the player not having his helmet on. I like to point out that Cortana has been able to detect things from across the galaxy in Halo 5. Again, the domain didn't enhance her capabilities, it just gave her access to more knowledge. And the domain is a place that is stated to transcend space and time, exists beyond the physical universe, and contains things like living time, which is essentially all aspects of the timeline across time and space. And she can contact the Master Chief in Halo 5 and slip in and out of that dimension and across the physical universe. Any AI can technically do this, and we see in Epitaph, as well as in multiple Halo novels, the AIs can go into the domain and do this as well. Their communication arrays are insane. It's all dependent on what they're hooked up into. But as far as being unable to hack Vega, he doesn't have to hack Vega. He just has to hack the suit, because Cortana doesn't have superior hacking feats to him. Whatever. Domain Cortana admittedly would be able to overcome the distance gap to affect Father, but that's using a version of Cortana that's separate from Chief and a serious antagonist. This essentially gives no. Okay, so yes, but like even by your own logic, you allowed the quantum translocator and a number of pieces of technology to Chief that wouldn't be available. Also, you've directly stated that the weapon AI is identical to Cortana, and that is a rampant dying Cortana being put in the domain. Normal AIs would be capable of more than what she did when she went to the domain. She just specifically wanted to take it over. That's why she has all that technology. This essentially gives the Slayer a solid lead in maneuverability if he could just portal teleport away, return from dangerous positions or areas, effectively canceling out the environmental advantage Cortana gives Chief. And while we're both highly intelligent and advantages can be given to one over the other in the regard, neither overwhelming strategic in regards to 1v1 combat would likely come up with something needed to Chief. The Slayer would think of in their own death battle. All in all, neither AI ends up with an overwhelming advantage over the other, and any hard advantage could have entirely depended on where the fight takes place. Completely bullshit. Cortana has always had the technological advantage over any group of people in the Haloverse with significantly more advanced technology than the Father, regardless of what planet, regardless of where she's on, and like the Halo arrays, the Forwarder shields, etc. Secondly, if Doomslayer has to leave the battlefield to portal hop, he's going to have to come back or he will be disqualified. BFRing yourself to escape the enemy works, but after a certain period of time, if you're not back on the planet, you are conceding it by loss of retreat. So you either get your ass back here or you give up the fight. Am I wrong, Zim?
No,
Or is that not fair?
no,
Is that not a fair loss?
that's fair game. Okay, but
So,
so
yeah,
let's see here. We can continue a little bit. So they're giving skill to Master Chief. There's not really too much to discuss here. They're just saying Slayer is more brute forward, but Chief is as Chief could be caught off guard by Slayer just steamrolling through his entire kit, but regardless, Chief is easily the more skilled opponent and takes the advantage. In experience, they give it to Doomslayer.
despite being in a coffin for most of that time.
Yeah, but you're never gonna really convince them with that one. So advantages: faster reaction with Cortana being much faster. Thrusters far more skill, bigger arsenal, greater ability, can bypass Slayer's durability, binary rifle. Cortana weapon can interfere with Slayer's visual comms, baller ass soundtrack. They put I don't know what the fuck that is, and has one good live action portrayal. Several, but well, actually, no,
But Slayer saving throw would catch him off guard. Likely wouldn't be able to reach the Vega or father directly. Slower travel speeds on foot, far weaker. Chrono Strike counters his speed advantage. Wouldn't know the binary rifle is his only win con. Less versatile arsenal. Martin O'Donnell. Too many books. Okay, so too many books is a terrible argument. Less versatile arsenal. Yeah, let me just look through Doomslayer's entire arsenal of guns that fire bullets, guns that fire more bullets, one plasma weapon, and the BFG. Congratulations, versus like all of the forwarder weapons being insta-death, matter manipulating, one-shot weapons, all of his plasma weapons being insta-death, heat-based weapons. Yeah, I'm sorry, there's no versatility to be argued here. Chief stomps in the arsenal. Vega being there doesn't matter.
all right.
Let's see, what does the Slayer have?
Advantages: much stronger, slightly faster base travel speed, far more experience. Chrono Strike rune counters the speed gap. Ice Bomb would be able to freeze Chief if it hits him. Vega the Far's benefit would be more useful than most of Cortana's. Saving throw means even if Chief gets a kill with the binary rifle, he could still retaliate in time. Far superior close range options. You know they have like the same close range options for the most part, but okay. Generally more versatile. Generally more doesn't need a reload. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Doomslayer reloads in the game. What the fuck?
Now that's just a gameplay. That's just a gameplay mechanic. He has infinite ammo.
Bruh. More vicious and brutal overall. OG Doom is cinema, baller ass soundtrack. But the binary rifle could still kill him, but slower reaction speeds and Chief is faster with thrusters. With the shoulder cannon, can't get hacked by Cortana, making the ice bombs unusable, but can't stop Cortana weapon either. Overall, smaller arsenal, less skilled and tactful, but does this treatment of Mike Gordon. Books and live action adaptations are dog shit.
Wait. If they concede that Cortana can hack the weapon attachment, why couldn't she just hack the suit to turn off all his visored equipment or to fuck up the servos or things in his suit?
They said she could, it just wouldn't matter.
If he can't move, how does that not matter?
Actually, if she can hack his own weapons, why can't she just make the cannon fire on himself?
Why can't she just, I don't know, jam the gun?
Speed is very much Master Chief's core, while Charles speed on foot is in Doomslayer's. Chief speed advantage with thruster pack while pace Slayer thousands of times over due to sheer speed advantage, which can validate Slayer's travel speed. Reaction speed similar to Chief's favorite, though not severely, with him only being 15 times faster and Slayer's generous speed arguments that hold up. Power, however, is very firmly in Slayer's court. Again, they didn't include they messed up on Halo a bit. As for the arsenals, while Chief has a broader arsenal across the board, covering a lot more ground than the Slayers, with an arsenal ranging, Doomslayer's own has a lot more pressing edges that actively put Chief on the back foot, such as full heal, temporal vulnerability. Again, like, you're giving him access to power-ups he doesn't normally have access to. That's wild. As for the binary rifle, Chief, singular weapon that can kill Doomslayer, it really should just be all Forerunner weapons should be valid in this category.
Every Forerunner weapon and every Covenant weapon is a one-shot kill weapon. Or a two-shot kill weapon. What do you mean? It's the singular weapon.
And singular weapon in Chief's massive arsenal, he might not bring down near start of the fire until it's too late. You understand that, like, you're conceding the AIs are this powerful. Let's say Chief starts off with an assault rifle. He opens fire on fucking Doom Guy. Doesn't hurt him. Immediately the AI can tell the damage and how little effective it is and just be like, Chief, pull out the good shit, Chief. Pull out the good shit.
Switch to a Covenant or a Forerunner weapon. Bam, win con achieved. If Doomslayer doesn't cross the gap, immediately he dies. That's it. Like,
Wow.
where's the conclusion where Slayer's just gonna like roundabout his way across the room and be like, "Hey there," just blow him apart with whatever gun he's using.
In regards to AI, Cortana, the weapon Vega do effectively cancel out each other's advantages, blah blah blah. In tertiary factors, however, things roughly even out, taking one major edge. Slayer has massive advantage experience for having fought for centuries, which actually outdoes Chief only in his 40s. Just flat out say, fighting for longer does not mean you have better experience. Because if your enemies are trash, which quite a few of the Doomslayer's enemies are very much trash, it doesn't have that much experience and difference in the company.
I was gonna say, if we're gonna go by that logic, Master Chief, when he was 15 years old, was fighting Covenant elites and the Silent Shadow, who are literally like trained warriors in the Sankili culture. A culture that, by the guidebook, states that they're able to hold weapons from the time they can walk. They're trained from like the earliest possible age to be like an anti-nepotistic competitive warrior society, and he's beating their greatest warriors in the history of their culture and their top-tier assassins with his bare hands as a 15-year-old. Like, what? What possible level of skill is like Doomslayer providing to the table where it would actually matter?
Also, while Doomslayer might have technically more combat experience, most of Doomslayer's combat experience is fighting people who can't 1v1 him. Master Chief's combat experience is consistently fighting people that can actually kill him.
So if I spent 5 centuries, let's say for some reason I had the technology to keep myself alive for like thousands of years, and I spent 5 centuries hunting buffalo on the plains, and I became the greatest hunter of buffalo the world has ever known. We could prove that. Why would that matter if I had to fight like a team of like highly trained military commandos from a country? Like, why the fuck would that level of training matter? I would be very good at that specific aspect of that, but why would that matter in fighting like a group of humans that fight completely differently?
It's literally saying that a master martial artist with 40 years of fighting people who have almost killed him repeatedly is on the same level as a guy who spent 1,000 years stomping ants.
Who spent 1,000 years just flicking people out of his way. Like, man, I'm the greatest of my age. Yeah, you're also uncontested.
Let's see here. Okay, looking through everything, this is far from a one-sided slaughter like many would assume. I like how, even though this is more in-depth than Death Battle, they still screwed over Chief. But the Slayer's sheer power advantage is an insanely tough hurdle for the Spartan to overcome, especially when supported by Vega. His insanely useful power-ups. Why are we giving him power-ups? Like, did they ever
what is Vega doing that's helping him?
He's teleporting around, I guess. His overwhelming experience edge. Again, the experience is kind of moot here. Master Chief will be a hard fight for Doomslayer, and he'd certainly bring an infinite struggle to the Slayer. Okay. Good. You got some puns in there. Okay, so 2 pity votes for the Slayer. And
no, two pity votes for Chief. All the Slayers are, yeah, that's
okay.
Oh boy.
I'm just gonna scroll up to power ups real quickly. I just need to see something.
Mm-hmm.
What was the argument for him having it? Is it in items? What's it called? Okay, so items. So we'll scroll down here real fast. What's the argument? Power ups. In addition to the traditional Valiant power up, Slayer has acquired various runes that. Are we just not giving a reason for?
No.
If
no reason was given.
Such a massive difference, I don't think those matter because power ups shouldn't even be valid. But all right, that is the Doom Guy versus Master Chief G1 blog. It was better than the Death Battle, but that's not really a high bar to reach.
That's not saying much, to be fair, because they made new errors and new problems. Because a lot of the arguments they attached were like for Halo section, they were attacking mostly straw man arguments I've never heard before. There were a few that I've heard before, like the Didact scaling to slip space, but the stuff for Doomslayer, as far as like the counter arguments that they made, those are things that are commonly used by your everyday Doomslayer scalers. And a lot of the concessions that they made for him were insane because they would just say, oh, power-ups, all these weapons. Master Chief has all these win cons, but they wouldn't be applicable because he just wouldn't pull them out for whatever reason. Even if this device or the speed difference or this technology would allow him to do that, that wouldn't be applicable either because reasons we can't explain.
Now, if I reach the end real quick, what are your guys' stance on Virgil should be considered a villain or not? Virgil should be considered a villain in DMC3, but afterwards it's kind of up in the air whether or not he's still considered a villain.
No, I would not consider him a villain because he's not considered a morally evil person in terms of the totality of his actions. We've already answered this question like 50 times.
Well, no.
What were we going to say?
This depends on what your position of villain is. Like, his actions are villainous in DMC3, regardless of whether or not it's his intent to kill people. He doesn't care about the lives that are being lost.
Okay, so the difference with what I consider to be villainous is the intent of the act. Because you need to prove both the intent and the act in question. And he makes it a point that he's only doing this because it's necessary, and he takes no pleasure in it. Whereas we have another character in the same game who is doing it because he wants to cause suffering and takes a direct pleasure out of causing the harm. And also, Virgil's decision is rooted in a rational, logical basis to want to get power to survive, and that is the only tower he can awaken to get to that power. I would agree with your position that it would be villainous if it were completely unnecessary and there was like other alternatives he could have taken. It just caused like useless, unnecessary suffering, and there was some level of malice, which is incredibly easy to prove for most of the people in DMC, because a lot of people in DMC are just assholes.
Okay, can you answer Kaizo's question real quickly, and then we'll call it there, because I do have to go use the restroom.
Yeah, sorry. People say Virgil raising the Timid Group open the gates is a villainous thing. That's because they have a simple view of morality. So, Michael, I asked you the question about Zim. Would Majin, DT, Dante, and DMC3 be able to beat Mundus? Depends on the version of Mundus. If it's Mundus during DMC3, yes, because he admitted he did not have enough strength to beat Mundus. Mundus himself admitted in Five's novel that he did not have enough strength to beat Dante, and that Virgil in full condition would have beaten him. So a Majin form Dante definitely would have killed him. Later versions of him, not necessarily.
We'll call it there on that for today. Thank you guys for coming out. Remember, we'll be starting the Metal Gear Solid 4 movie on Kyle's stream later today. So thank you for your time as always. Have a nice day. And I'll see you guys on the next streamer video. Take care, everybody. No, he meant the DMC5 novel. Peace.